Chapter 601. All of a sudden, everyone's gaze landed on Yi Chen. Those who had never seen Yi Chen before also saw Yi Chen's real face for the first time. As one of the top 3 martial geniuses, Dantai Mingyue also looked over. Then her eyes landed on Murong Qingqing, who was wearing a black mask. "Brother Yi, finally someone wants to challenge you." Wei laughed. Ling Tianhao said, "Yi Chen, do not lose." Although he did not think that Yi Chen's power was more powerful than his head disciple Yan Fengfeng, who rarely fought with her real body, but since he could beat Lin Tian, he must have something up his sleeves. This Lan Sheqing was only slightly more powerful than Lin Tian before, and there was no clear winner between them. Lan Sheqing is very cunning, just like his battling style. Since he has made the 10 attacks agreement with you, he must want to get the upper hand within 10 attacks. Then in everyone's eyes, Lan Sheqing would be slightly more powerful than you. Yan Fengfeng had seen through the problem, so she reminded him. Yi Chen said, "Making the 10 attacks agreement, either he is not confident or he is very confident. I hope it is the latter." "What? Yi Chen, you do not dare to accept my challenge?" Lan Sheqing waved the fan in his hand as he walked out of the pavilion. Extending his body, Yi Chen lightly flew down from the top of the mountain, stepping on the surface of the 9-dragon lake. He opened his mouth and said, "10 attacks agreement? That is exactly what I want. Let's finish this quickly." "Alright. I would like to see how powerful the so-called number 1 warrior below the top 5 young warriors really are." In the end, Lan Sheqing was not happy about being stepped on. But, just like Yan Fengfeng had said, he was very cunning. If Yi Chen was really powerful, then he would just be the stepping stone for the others, which was not what he wanted. Therefore he said the 10 attacks agreement. He thought that within 10 attacks, even if he could not get the upper hand, he would not be at a disadvantage. But he would let the situation be in his favor. Lan Sheqing performed his flying art and shot toward the 9-dragon lake. On the way he was still waving his fan. Besides the evil chi, he did look like a young master. In the middle of Jiulong Lake, the two stood 100 meters apart. "Hall Master Imo, this Yi Chen also uses the sword. I wonder what level his attainment in the sword Dao has reached?" The person who spoke was the leader of a rank 6 sect in the Misty Snow region, and the person he was talking to was the leader of the Misty Snow Hall, Snow Sword Master. "Although 10 moves are short, I should be able to see something." Master Snow Sword was very emotional. Back then, when Yi Chen was being chased by the experts of the Ao family, she was able to instantly kill all the experts of the Ao family with a single sword strike. In just a few years, the genius sword artist who was being chased by the experts of the Ao family had already grown to a level where he could be mentioned in the same breath as her. "Yi Chen, take this." On top of the lake, Lan Sheqing's body was extremely fast as he flashed left and right, approaching Yi Chen in a curved way. The fan in his hand was raised up, attacking with unpredictable shadows. Clang. Yi Chen took out his gold sword and attacked as well. The first exchange of attacks between the two was just to test each other. Therefore the battle was not that intense. It could only be said that there was a killing intent hidden within the calmness. Once the opponent could not hold on anymore, the calmness of the attack would be able to turn into a killing attack that could severely wound the opponent and end the battle with one attack. Misty Dream Flower. Lan Sheqing was very good at the Misty Profound. He formed a spell with his left hand, causing the rolling mist to spread out with him as the center. Soon, it drowned Yi Chen within, turning the area within a few thousand meters in the middle of the lake into a thick mist area. "What the hell? How can we see clearly like this?" After Lan Sheqing performed this attack, some of the people who were watching the battle yelled out. Normal mist would not be able to block the soul power detection, but the thick mist that was created by the Misty Profound had the effect of reducing soul power drastically. Therefore they would not be able to notice some of the details. Countless misty flowers were formed as Lan Sheqing stepped on them, attacking towards Yi Chen without making a sound. Every single movement was extremely weird and tricky. If most of the people were walking on the right path, then Lan Sheqing would be walking on the wrong path, winning with surprise attacks. It was the first time for Yi Chen to fight with a young warrior like this, so he had a general understanding of his opponent's style. Break! A beam of sword chi broke through the thick mist, separating the lake water. "Haha, it is useless." Close. Lan Sheqing was shocked at Yi Chen's observation power. The latter had not only blocked out his attack, but had also thrown out a counterattack, breaking through the thick mist with one sword attack. Speed Sword Hell. Yi Chen's expression did not change at all. He had seen the whole bewilderment forbidden zone before, and Lan Sheqing's Misty Dream Flower was just a simplified version of it. Shaking his wrist, Yi Chen performed his fastest sword art. That sharp sword chi filled up the thick mist before shooting out in all directions. Looking from outside, the thousands of meters of thick mist looked like a huge porcupine. That slim longsword chi was both fast and sharp. A groan was heard from within the thick mist as a human figure was blown out of it. Everyone looked over and found out that it was Lan Xueqing. Right then he looked a bit messed up, with a light footprint on his chest. Lan Xueqing swallowed a mouthful of blood that he was about to puke out. Although that kick from Yi Chen was not some powerful martial art, the power contained in it had broken through his protective Zhenyuan and traveled into his armor, causing him a serious internal injury. Yi Chen, I have indeed underestimated you. I was too careless. Lan Xueqing's expression did not look good. Stepping on the lake water, Yi Chen walked out of the thick mist slowly. He looked up and said, "It has been 7 attacks now. You only have 3 left." If someone else wanted to take advantage of him, although Yi Chen was not a stingy person, he would not let them get away with it. Therefore, after performing his speed sword hell and combining it with his soul power, he was able to pinpoint Lan Xueqing's exact location very quickly. He then approached with his extreme speed. After exchanging 2 attacks, he kicked the latter out of the thick mist. Right now, everyone could tell that Yi Chen had the upper hand. "All right, you have forced me to do this." Lan Xueqing did not plan to risk his life before, but right now he had no other choice. His reputation was the most important thing to him, so how could he let himself lose to Yi Chen? Fog Ocean Attack. Behind Lan Xueqing's back, a huge amount of dense fog poured out. This time the fog did not spread out in all directions. Instead, it gathered behind Lan Xueqing, connecting with his back. It was like a small ocean of fog rolling up and down, looking both real and fake at the same time. Boom. Stepping on the lake water, Lan Xueqing rushed toward Yi Chen in a straight line, which was rare for him. With the support of the fog ocean, he looked so powerful and unstoppable. This Lan Xueqing is indeed not to be underestimated. This fog ocean contains not only the fog profound, but also his aura. Under that attack, even the most aggressive young warriors would not be able to handle it. I wonder how Yi Chen is going to handle it. It was one of the top 3 master-level blade artists, Lin Xiaonan, and the one he was talking to was the leader of the 3, Xie Beiting. Xie Beiting said lightly, "Lan Xueqing should still have some tricks up his sleeves, right?" He did not think that he could beat Yi Chen with just the power of the fog ocean. The lake water could not handle Lan Xueqing's aura anymore, so it was pushed to the sides. Lose? With a loud shout, Lan Xueqing waved out that jade-like fan in his hand. At the same time, the fog ocean behind him suddenly left Lan Xueqing's body in an even more aggressive manner, devouring Yi Chen immediately. It was like a flood, making a human's strength seem so weak. If it were a normal person being attacked by an invisible fog ocean, they would be panicking for sure. Even someone with a calm mind would be affected a little. Not to mention that there was still Lan Xueqing's aggressive attack. Since the fog ocean was pouring out from his body, he was the only one who was not affected at all, and could attack as much as he wanted. With all these factors, all the warriors who were slightly more powerful would be defeated by Lan Xueqing. This was Lan Xueqing's ace attack, the combination of the fake and the real. The fog ocean would affect the opponent's mind, and the attack would attack the opponent's body, making them exhausted. Boom. An exploding sound was heard. The center of the 9-dragon lake caved in immediately, forming a few thousand meters wide and 1,000 meters deep hemisphere. At the edge of the hemisphere, the lake water poured out in all directions. Looking over the waves, everyone saw that Lan Xueqing's fan had been blocked by Yi Chen's gold sword. Lan Xueqing's fog ocean attack did not give Yi Chen any openings at all. You have lost. Lan Xueqing's face flashed with a weird look as he pushed his fan forward along with the gold sword. A long and thin sharp blade shot out from the front of the fan, stabbing right at Yi Chen's face. If he were to be stabbed by this sharp blade, it would be inevitable for his face to explode. Is that so? His left hand moved like lightning as Yi Chen's 2 fingers blocked the sharp blade. Since his opponent had attacked right next to the gold sword, his power would inevitably be weaker. Yi Chen's 2 fingers had not only blocked the sharp blade, but had also ended his opponent's attack. Unless he gave up on his fan, he would not be able to form another powerful attack in a short period of time. Not good. Lan Xueqing let go of his hand without hesitation and backed out. Unfortunately, Yi Chen would not give him the chance. He held the gold sword in his right hand and waved it up. That crescent-shaped gold sword chi had blown his opponent miles away. Eventually he slid on the lake water and puked out 3 mouthfuls of blood. His face was extremely pale. In the 9th attack, Yi Qin had taken away his opponent's weapon cleanly and wounded him severely. Impressive. Snow Sword Master gasped. The leader of the rank 6 martial institution next to her asked, "Leader Mo, what is so impressive about him? How come I feel that he did not use any powerful sword attacks?" Snow Sword Master said, "It is because he did not use any powerful sword attacks that he is so powerful. Let me ask you, have you seen through him?" "Not at all." "That is right. He did not even use 80% of his power when fighting with Lan Xiecheng. In other words, he is even more powerful than when he fought with Lin Tian." Around the Nine-Dragon Lake, everyone started to discuss. "He is indeed the #1 warrior just below the top 5 young warriors. He beat Lan Xiecheng so easily, and I did not even see any powerful attacks. For example, that sword attack of Tai Shichong's was extremely powerful, and that despairing blade attack of Duguju was even more powerful. Lan Xiecheng's fog ocean attack was even more powerful. His reputation is not just for show. I don't think anyone would doubt his power anymore." After this battle, Yi Qin had established his position. There would be no lack of challengers in the future, but no one would doubt his power. "Yi Qin, you are indeed my most powerful opponent." Duguju watched this battle with a serious look on his face. Dantai Mingyue was a woman after all, and the battle between a woman and a man would be slightly different from the battle between men. It was an undeniable fact, and it was not because he looked down on women. Chapter 602. Yi Qin did not continue to chase after Lin Ku. Holding his gold sword, he stood in the air and stared at the cold-looking young man and the one with the mole on his forehead, saying coldly, "What a troublemaker. It is the first time we have met, and you have already given people the title of troublemaker. It seems like you are quite good at using it. When exchanging pointers, one should stop when the time is right. Don't you think that breaking his arm is too vicious, too vicious? If everyone was like you, how could the Tianwu domain be peaceful?" The youth with the red mole on his forehead seemed to be throbbing, his expression stern. Yi Qin could not help but laugh. "If it were me who had lost my arm, would you still say that? Or would you just ignore it?" The round-faced young man said, "It was you who lost an arm, so we'll naturally reprimand him. However, I believe in Lin Ye's character, and he naturally has his reasons for dealing with you. All right, surrender now and we'll spare your worthless life. We'll merely cripple you and you won't be able to do anything in our hands. Don't struggle in vain, as struggling will only make you die faster." Scold him? Yi Qin couldn't help but laugh as he shook his head, his eyes turning cold. "To be honest, you two are not qualified to uphold justice, because you are just two evil dogs. If you don't piss off, I'll skin you alive." Hearing him, everyone was shocked and could not help but suck in a cold breath. They had never seen anyone who dared to talk to Mu Yunhe and Lin Tian like this, calling them evil dogs. It should be known that Lin Tian and Mu Yunhe were the top young warriors below the top 5 young warriors, not something Duan Lingya and Lin Ku could compare with. Of course, Yi Qin had also recognized Lin Tian and Mu Yunhe. Their strength was about the same, and they were even more powerful than Tai Shichong, one of the top 3 sword masters. Before breaking through, he would definitely not be their opponent. Perhaps only Yin Fengfeng with her real strength would be able to compete with them. Unfortunately, for some unknown reason, Yin Fengfeng rarely showed her real body in front of others. She had only shown it once during the fight for the longevity fruit in the Dragon Cave. "What did you say?" The round-faced young man's face turned pale. He did not expect Yi Qin to say something like that. Who was he? He was the head disciple of the prison martial school, one of the top 5 young warriors. Except for the top 5 young warriors, no one could beat him. At most, they would be on par with him. And Yi Qin was just a new rising star. No one knew where he got the chance to beat Duan Lingya and Lin Ku. "I dare you to say that again." Mu Yunhe's eyes were spitting fire. Lin Tian's expression also became cold, his killing intent soaring into the sky. "I said you two are evil dogs." Yi Qin's voice was so loud that it could be heard over half of West Tomb City. "This guy is going against the heavens." Lin Ku, who was on the side, widened his eyes and shuddered. As for Duan Lingya, he had already fainted. Courting death. Mu Yunhe furiously roared and Zhen Yuan erupted from his back, turning into multicolored clouds. His body was like a 1,000-year-old ferocious crane as he shuttled through the clouds. His 5 fingers spread open as if he was about to lift Yi Qin's head. This move didn't have any other profound mysteries, only speed. A ferocious bird hunting was extremely fast. Mu Yunhe was 10 times faster than even the most ferocious bird. His claws even more so extended out blood-colored radiance, tearing through the air, piercing through metal and stone, incomparably sinister. Piss off. Raising his gold sword, Yi Qin simply slashed down. Watch me take your sword. Mu Yunhe did not expect Yi Qin to react so fast, but it was not as if he did not have a backup plan. He flicked his wrist, trying to grab Yi Chen's gold sword. Unfortunately, Yi Chen's sword speed was just too fast, and he could not change his attack in time. Left with no other choice, he turned his claws into palms and shot out palm power. Boom. The huge sound was like two burning meteors crashing into each other. The sky above Xiling shook, and the entire space seemed like it was about to collapse. In the sky, a figure was blown down, blood spurting out of his mouth. It's Mu Yunhe. Everyone was shocked to find that the injured person was Mu Yunhe, cut down by Yi Chen's sword. What is going on? Did Mu Yunhe underestimate his opponent? Even if he underestimated his opponent, he should not be this miserable. Look, Yi Chen is not moving at all. Not only were the spectators shocked, but Lin Ku was also shocked and took a step back. Lin Tian's eyes shrunk, filled with killing intent and fear. Thump. Mu Yunhe staggered on the street and couldn't help but take a few steps back. Each step caused the street to crack and the houses to collapse. Impossible, what kind of power is this? Mu Yunhe's chin was stained with blood as he stared at Yi Chen in the sky. Even Mu Yunhe is not Yi Chen's opponent. How shocking. Although Murong Qingqing had never been to the Sky Martial region, she knew some of the geniuses there, such as the 5 young warriors and the 3 young sword masters. Mu Yunhe's strength was second only to the 5 young warriors, but he was at least in the top 15. Apart from the 5 young warriors, there were less than 2 people who could compare to him, and only the 5 young warriors could injure him in one move. Mu Yunhe, if you know what's good for you, then get the hell out of Xiling City. Just now, Mu Yunhe had approached Yi Chen, which was equivalent to close-range combat. Yi Chen's current close-range combat was heaven-defying. He had 400,000 pounds of strength, and with his Zhen Yuan, his offense was even scarier than when he used the dual sword style. You are also a bit stronger in close-range combat. I will not fight you in close-range combat. Let's see how you block my attacks. Mu Yunhe furiously roared. His figure rose from the ground and his 2 claws repeatedly waved, shooting out countless blood-red claws at Yi Chen. Break! Yi Chen held the gold sword with both hands and slashed down. A long sawtooth light wave shot upward, cleanly destroying the bloody claw imprints. However, Mu Yunhe was not Lin Ku, nor was he Duan Lingya. His cultivation base had already reached late Sea of Soul Realm, and his Zhen Yuan was incomparably vigorous. Each of his moves contained an immeasurable might. The sawtooth light wave shattered the bloody claw imprints, but it quickly dissipated without any effect. Shattering Yuan hand. Mu Yunhe's figure flickered, appearing even higher in the sky. His right hand spread open and fiercely pressed down on Yi Chen. Rumble. The space seemed to have caved in like mud. In the next moment, a scarlet palm descended from the sky, suffused with a bloody light. In a short moment, the scarlet palm grew larger and larger, almost covering the sky. It seemed as if it was going to crush Yi Chen and crush him into powder. This guy's will and profound are similar to Duan Lingya's, but his Zhen Yuan is a small realm higher. His battle power is incomparable. However, if you don't engage in close combat, how will you defeat me? Any attack that approaches me, I can use my physical strength to destroy it. Gotcha. When the scarlet palm was less than 10 meters away from Yi Chen exerted strength in both of his arms. The gold sword slashed upward and the scarlet palm was shattered. With a swish, Yi Chen rushed out of the opening and arrived above the scarlet palm. The scarlet palm behind him disappeared like smoke. You broke my shattering Yuan hand just like that? Mu Yunhe was stunned for a split second. Impossible. Although body refinement experts are powerful, they don't have such reaction speed or insight. Moreover, my shattering Yuan hand has the power to suppress the opponent. I can only use 80% of my power at most. Now it's my turn to counterattack. 5 sword lights appeared around his body. With a flash, Yi Chen's speed reached a level that even Mu Yunhe could not match. In an instant he had reached 30 times the speed of sound. When he was at the peak of early Sea of Soul Realm, Yi Chen's speed was close to 25 times the speed of sound. Now that he was at the peak of mid-Sea of Soul Realm, his Zhen Yuan quantity and purity had increased by a level. With a flicker, Yi Chen arrived beside Mu Yunhe. No. Mu Yunhe's reaction was not slow, and he subconsciously waved his palm to meet the attack. Go up. Unexpectedly, Yi Chen did not wave his sword with his right hand. Instead, he held the long sword at his waist with his left hand and slashed upward. A blazing lightning sword energy swept out. Crack. As if struck by lightning, Mu Yunhe spurted out a huge mouthful of blood as his body was flung back. Unable to withstand a single blow. Absolutely unable to withstand a single blow. The spectators below didn't expect the famous Mu Yunhe to be unable to withstand a single blow from Yi Qin. It would have been fine if Yi Qin didn't take the initiative to attack, but the moment he did, Mu Yunhe didn't even have a chance to counterattack. He could only passively take a beating. Enough. Lin Tian, who had been biding his time, could no longer watch. Without any movement, his entire body soared into the sky like a treasured blade. Rip. With a slash, an earthen yellow blade light surged toward Yi Qin like a surging river. The blade aura was exceptionally powerful. Yi Qin gave up on Mu Yunhe and slashed apart the earthen yellow blade light. I admit that your strength is not bad. However, it's better not to be too arrogant. Lin Tian gloomily looked at Yi Qin. Yi Qin sized up his opponent. He could sense that Lin Tian's cultivation base was the same as his peak mid-sea of Soul Realm. However, the latter's essence chi was like a beacon, soaring into the sky. This was a sign that his strength was exceptionally powerful. You're also a body refining expert. Try and you'll know. Lin Tian's gaze was cold. Brother Lin, cripple him for me. Mu Yunhe's clothes were tattered, and his chest was scorched black. He forcefully suppressed his heavily injured body and flew down, instructing Lin Tian. Lin Tian was different from him. The latter had cultivated body refining martial arts since childhood and was extremely talented in this aspect. Thus, he mainly cultivated strength with Zhen Yuan as a support. Of course, the Lin family was one of the 4 great families, and they had spent a huge amount of resources to raise his Zhen Yuan cultivation base to peak mid-sea of Soul Realm. With the combination of the two, Mu Yunhe had no choice but to admit that only by increasing the distance between them could he not be defeated. In close combat he was not his opponent at all. However, thinking of Yi Qin, Mu Yunhe couldn't help but shiver. Did he mainly cultivate Zhen Yuan or strength? Both aspects were frighteningly powerful, simply breaking the balance. Don't worry. In close combat I'm not afraid of anyone. Lin Tian replied. Alright, I'll wait for your good news. Mu Yunhe clenched his fists and flew down with a pale complexion. Suddenly, he glanced at Murong Qingqing and a sneer appeared on his face. Chapter 603. Yi Qin, who was hovering in the air, had no intention of letting Mu Yunhe go like this. He straightened his gold sword, and a ball of thunder energy traveled from the hilt to the tip, making the whole sword look like a lightning bolt. The end of the lightning was held in Yi Qin's hand, unable to escape. You dare. Lin Tian roared. Bah. Yi Qin ignored Lin Tian's warning and slashed down with his gold sword. Ever since Sky Thunder Cut reached completion, and from completion to 110%, it was no longer in the shape of a sword, but in the shape of a lightning bolt. A sharp lightning bolt suddenly struck down and struck Mu Yunhe's back, burning him black. His body stiffly fell on the roof of the West Hill restaurant, then slid down the roof and lay next to Duan Lengya. Who the hell is this guy? Lin Ku already knew about Yi Qin's identity. The reason he said this was because Duan Lengya and Mu Yunhe had fallen in Yi Qin's hands, and he himself had been heavily injured. He felt as if he was seeing Yi Qin for the first time. This kid is not easy to mess with. Duan Lengya and Mu Yunhe have kicked an iron plate. Right, I still don't know his name. He seems to be in his early 20s, so he must have entered the Sea of Soul Realm long ago. There are only 3 people who could do so at such a young age, Dugu Ju and Dantai Mingyue. We've seen their faces, so it can't be them. Then there is only one person who fits the description, and he should be Yi Qin. Yi Qin? The monstrous Yi Qin whose name has spread throughout the whole Sky Martial region? 3 monstrous geniuses gathered in Sky Martial region. The future will be lively. Everyone sighed. In the sky, Lin Tian and Yi Qin stood 100 steps apart, facing each other. Very well, you've successfully angered me. Take this. Like a flying knife tearing through the air, Lin Tian rapidly approached Yi Qin. When he was 10 meters away from him, he gripped his knife hilt with both hands and slashed at Yi Qin with all his strength. The profound in this strike wasn't too profound. It was even inferior to Yi Qin's. However, Lin Tian didn't plan on relying on true essence or profound. What he poured into this strike was the terrifying strength that he was so proud of. Back off. A frightening roar rang out as the blade radiance appeared. Not necessarily. Also holding the gold sword with both of his hands, Yi Qin stepped forward with his right foot. He lowered his body and steadied his center of gravity. Deep inside his body, the dragon power flowed through his cells, bones, blood, and meridians like an erupting volcano, pouring into Yi Qin's arms. As Yi Qin yelled, he waved his gold sword and attacked. Clang. A deafening sound erupted. This sound could no longer be described as a sound in the world. If one had to describe it, it was like two metal meteorites that had been tempered by heavenly fire colliding together. The violent power was not restrained at all, and there was no hesitation as it collided with each other. Then, it crazily squeezed and collided as if it wanted to completely destroy this space. After the loud explosion, the sky above Western Tomb City changed, becoming like a transparent lake. Above the lake, distorted ripples spread out in all directions. Under the refraction of the sunlight, Western Tomb City was suddenly dyed in a myriad of colors, as if it were a dream. Boom. Even Yi Qin and Lin Tian couldn't handle the huge impact. They both backed out, trying to get rid of that power that made their bones creak. He is indeed a body-training warrior. Yi Qin only managed to stop after backing out for a few hundred meters. Ripples spread out under his feet, looking like countless lotus flowers appearing and disappearing in the air. Subtracting the Zhen Yuan, profound, intent, and weapons, his power should be around 550,000 jin, and not more than 600,000. However, his body's toughness is similar to mine, a rank 3 spirit body. It seems like his body's talent is better than mine, which means he can have more power. They both had rank 3 spirit bodies, but Yi Chen's limit was 400,000 jin while Lin Tian's was 550,000 jin, or even more. Comparing the two, Yi Chen was far behind. Of course, Yi Qin and Lin Tian were different. The latter focused on power while Yi Qin focused on Zhen Yuan. His profound and intent were much higher than Lin Tian's. His attacking power is above mine? Lin Tian backed out even further than Yi Qin, about 500 meters. Tiger Demon's secret blood art. Without hesitation, Lin Tian used a powerful secret art that would overdraft his physical strength and even life force. This secret art would allow him to break through the limits of his body and explode with even greater power. It had to be said that the human body was filled with endless mysteries. Even a weak old lady could carry a large bag of rice when her potential erupted, let alone Lin Tian, who was a body refinement expert. Lin Tianhuan's face was covered in blood-colored patterns, and his body was covered in them as well. His body was emitting an iron-blooded aura. Blue veins popped out on his arms like small snakes. Creak. Tightly holding onto the blade hilt, Lin Tianhuan's eyes locked onto Yi Qin, who was 700 meters away. His pupils shrank. There is a blood color in the essence chi smoke. This is a secret art that overdrafts one's potential. This kind of secret art only exists in the barbarian race. I didn't expect Lin Tian to have it too. Yi Qin didn't dare to be careless. He held the gold sword in his right hand and moved his left hand to his waist. Tiger Demon's blade. Lin Tian had wandered in the barbarian race's territory before, and was fortunate enough to obtain a secret art that could overdraft one's potential. Relying on this secret art, he could even exchange 3 moves with Xiao Chuha, one of the top 5 young tycoons. Although he was defeated on the 4th move, it should be known that before he used the Tiger Demon's secret blood art, he couldn't even take 1 move from Xiao Chuha. However, the Tiger Demon's secret blood art's side effects were too great, and he was not a barbarian. His body's foundation was very strong. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, he would not use the Tiger Demon's secret blood art. This was his 3rd time using it, and he had to defeat Yi Qin. Otherwise, in a few days, the news of his defeat would spread throughout the Sky Martial region. At his level, he could not allow himself to be defeated by someone else. The Tiger Demon's hidden blood art was a secret technique that stimulated and overdraft one's potential. It also contained a saber technique. This saber technique was a saber technique that utilized vital force. It could condense all the strength in one's body into a single point and kill the opponent with a single strike. Whoosh. Raising his speed to the limit, Lin Tian's entire body was like a demonic tiger. The blood-colored patterns on his face looked extremely sinister. In his hand, the long blade sliced through the air, bringing with it a blood-colored blade light. With a thunderous momentum, it slashed out as fast as a blood-colored lightning. Lose? Lin Tian roared. The one who will lose is you. Yi Qin lowered his body like a hibernating dragon that was about to break free. Whoosh. The gold sword slashed out vertically, while the long sword in his left hand slashed out diagonally. Yi Qin rushed forward, clashing with Lin Tian. The moment the two clashed, the 2 swords perfectly crossed, lighting up the entire West Tomb City. Clang. 2 swords and 1 blade fiercely clashed, wantonly releasing a berserk power. The owners of the 2 fiercely glared at each other, the muscles on their arms bulging out. Chapter 604. Through the demonic tiger's secret blood art, Lin Tian's current offensive power was faintly surpassing Yi Chen's. The moment they clashed, he felt that the situation was in his favor, and a cold smile appeared on his face. However, that smile soon froze. Yi Chen's two swords crossed and a thumb-sized thunder ball appeared. This thunder ball was dark blue in color, and the lightning it emitted was also dark blue in color. Countless zigzagging lightning bolts shot out, turning the area within 1,000 meters into a lightning zone. Bang! The thunder ball's expanding speed surpassed Lin Tian's reaction. The thumb-sized thunder ball instantly expanded several hundred times, then several thousand times. The resulting explosive power sent Lin Tian flying, and he felt as if all the bones in his body had been shattered. Moreover, he felt an intense numbness. The two clashed and then separated. Swish! The impact Yi Chen received was far less than Lin Tian. After retreating 100 meters, he stomped on the void and turned into a sword light. Not good. Lin Tian's muscles were numb, and he could only use 30 to 40% of his power. Forcibly resisting would only result in failure. Heaven Sieve Armor Release. At this critical moment, Lin Tian's protective Zhen Yuan thickened by several inches, looking like a layer of glass. Meanwhile, the outline of a mysterious armor appeared within Lin Tian's robes. As the armor's outline appeared, mysterious runes appeared on the protective Zhen Yuan. These runes were connected by fine threads and slowly revolved around Lin Tian. Half-step extreme grade armor. Yi Chen abruptly stopped his momentum. With the Heaven Sieve armor protecting me, I'm already in an invincible position. If this goes on, you'll lose without a doubt. Originally, Lin Tian didn't intend to use the Heaven Sieve armor. As far as he was concerned, apart from the 5 young tycoons, no one was worthy of him using it. Half-step extreme grade armor. This time Yi Chen is in trouble. If he can't break the Heaven Sieve armor's defense, he won't be able to injure Lin Tian. Moreover, Lin Tian can attack without any restraint. If this goes on, Yi Chen will lose for sure. I heard that Lin Tian obtained the Sky Sieve armor from the Treasure Holy Pagoda. I wonder which level did he reach? No one looked at Lin Tiandong with disdain for using the Heaven Sieve armor to protect himself. To a cultivator, artifacts were also a part of one's strength. If everything was fair, then it would be unfair. After all, some artifacts were obtained by people who risked their lives to obtain them. Yi Chen sized up Lin Tian's barrier and said, "Forget it, I don't have much enmity with you. Let's call it a day. I only hope that you won't provoke me in the future." Crippling Duan Lengya was more than enough. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Yi Chen did not want to offend the Lin family, one of the top 4 families in the world. It was not necessary. You want to leave? Lin Tian's face was filled with anger. He indeed didn't have much enmity with Yi Chen, and Lin Ku was only slightly injured. He would be able to fully recover after a month or 2 of recuperation. However, his injuries could recover, but his reputation couldn't. Today he definitely couldn't allow Yi Chen to leave safely. Lin Tian couldn't lose. What, you want to fight with me? Yi Chen's eyebrows twitched. Yi Chen, could it be that you're afraid? Artifacts are also a part of power. My brother being able to obtain the Heaven Sieve armor is his own ability. No one will say anything. Below, Lin Ku's voice was heard, carrying a hint of pride. Lin Tian's expression also relaxed as he looked at Yi Chen with a mocking expression. Hee hee. Yi Chen chuckled, me afraid? Since you want to fight, I'll accompany you. Buzz. The storage ring flickered with a dim light, and a dark blue domineering sword appeared in Yi Chen's right hand. This sword had not yet been unsheathed, but the air was already filled with destructive lightning arcs. What? Semi-extreme grade sword. Lin Tian cried out in shock. Everyone's expression changed as well, especially Lin Ku. He wanted to say something, but he immediately shut his mouth, his face full of shock. Chin. Unsheathing the Thunder Disaster sword, the sword's body flickered like lightning. Yi Chen looked straight at Lin Tian and said indifferently, Lin Tian, if you want to fight, let's fight. I'm not afraid. Damn it. How come he also has a semi-extreme grade artifact? Lin Tian cursed inwardly. What, you're giving up? Yi Chen saw Lin Tian's flickering gaze. Give up? How is that possible? Today you and I must decide who's stronger. At this point, Lin Tian already had no way out. He could only fight. If he didn't fight, it would be more humiliating than losing. I'd like to see whether your semi-extreme grade sword is sharper or my Heaven Sieve armor's defense is stronger. Demonic Tiger Blade. The demonic tiger's secret blood arts effect was still ongoing. Lin Tian roared and raised his blade with both hands, slashing at Yi Chen's blade. Breaking your defense is a piece of cake. Yi Chen didn't plan to clash head-on with the opponent. The latter was a body-refining expert who liked to clash head-on. However, Yi Chen wasn't. His previous clash was merely to test the limits of his offense. Now he already knew the result. It was time to thoroughly defeat the opponent. Swish. With a flash of sword light, Yi Chen raised his speed to the limit and suddenly appeared on Lin Tian's right side. The Thunder Disaster sword pierced forward, using the perfected amaranthine nature. The rune-covered barrier caved in a bit, and its edges had spiderweb-like cracks. It looked like a transparent glass that was about to shatter. Seeing that Yi Chen didn't want to clash head-on, Lin Tian promptly waved his blade. However, what was cut was only an afterimage. Golden resonant radiance. In the sky, Yi Chen slashed down with his sword upside down. A dazzling golden sword-shaped light wave with sharp saw-teeth cut at Lin Tian's barrier. Tsing 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 tsing. Tsing 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 tsing. Dazzling sparks flew everywhere, and Lin Tian's barrier was almost cut open. At the crucial moment, he waved his blade upward, shattering the sawtooth light wave. As the sawtooth light wave was shattered, a smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. Lin Tian's barrier was weaker than he had imagined. It seemed like the opponent indeed specialized in strength. Therefore, although the latter's Jin Yuan cultivation base was the same as his, at the peak of Mid-Sea of Soul Realm, it wasn't as solid as his, nor was it as pure as his. Moreover, artifacts required Jin Yuan to activate. Clearly, he couldn't activate the Heaven Sieve armor to its limit. Shwa 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 shwa, Yi Chen circled around Lin Tian. Lin Tian's reaction wasn't slow either. Out of the 3 times, he managed to parry 2 of Yi Chen's attacks. Here's my chance. A feint triggered Lin Tian's counterattack. Yi Chen once again crossed his 2 swords and slashed at Lin Tian's barrier. Creak creak. A crisscrossed sword scar appeared on the barrier, growing larger and larger as it penetrated inside. As the lightning ball shot out, the barrier shattered like an egg, unable to hold on any longer. The huge recoil caused Lin Tian to bleed from his 7 orifices. The blood-colored patterns on his face also dimmed and disappeared, returning to his body. The Tiger Demon's secret blood art could not be used indefinitely. Being able to last until now meant that the side effects were not small. With so many internal and external problems, Lin Tian would be in a weakened state for a very long time. Lin Tian lost. Duan Lingya, Lin Ku, Mu Yunhe, and Lin Tian. The 4 of them fought with Yi Chen one after another, and they all lost miserably. I dare to bet that in less than 3 months, Yi Chen's name will shake the world, and his fame will catch up to the 5 young tycoons. Do I need you to say that? To be able to defeat Mu Yunhe and Lin Tian, it would be hard for him not to become famous. As the crowd discussed, Yi Chen flew to Murong Qingqing's side, and then he glanced at Lin Ku in the restaurant. Lin Ku noticed Yi Chen's gaze and was startled. He was heavily wounded and many of his meridians were broken. He couldn't even take 1 attack from Yi Chen. Let's go. Yi Chen didn't plan to continue chasing after Lin Ku. After all, Duan Lingya was the main culprit, and the others were just accomplices. As Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing left, Lin Ku let out a sigh of relief. They were finally gone. Glancing at Mu Yunhe, Duan Lingya, and his brother, who was even more heavily wounded than him, Lin Ku let out a bitter laugh. This time they had truly lost everything. Who would have thought that Yi Chen would become so powerful in just a few months? In the past, when they fought with Hai Wuya, they always had the upper hand. Only when Yin Fengfeng was there would they not be able to gain the upper hand. But now that Yi Chen was here, they didn't even have the qualifications to fight. What frightened him the most was that a few months ago, Yi Chen was not his opponent at all. In a month, the incident in West Tomb City had spread throughout the whole Sky Martial region. Everyone knew that there was a person called Yi Chen who had defeated Lin Ku, Duan Lingya, Mu Yunhe, and Lin Tian. His strength had shocked all the geniuses. Dugu family, inside a quiet courtyard. Yi Chen, I didn't expect you to improve so fast. Right now, I am indeed not your opponent. But this is just the beginning. Once I have the qualifications to challenge Xiao Chuhe, I will challenge you as well. Sitting under a tree, Duguju's eyes shone brightly. One could see that compared to 2 months ago, Duguju's Jin Yuan had become much richer, reaching the peak of Mid-Sea of Soul's realm. During the battle with Tai Shichong, he had just broken through to Mid-Sea of Soul's realm, and he didn't have the time to consolidate his cultivation base. Therefore, he couldn't use any treasures to increase his cultivation base to the peak of Mid-Sea of Soul's realm. Today, Yi Chen's incident in West Tomb City had spread to the Dugu family, and then to him through his cousin Dugu Ming. When he first heard the news, he was shocked as well. But he soon calmed down since it didn't matter much at the moment, since everyone was making progress. It was just a matter of how much progress they made. As far as Duguju was concerned, only when one couldn't make any progress would the winner be decided. After all, every level had its limits. For example, one's Jinyuan cultivation base could only reach the peak of late Sea of Souls realm at most, and one's profound could only reach the mid-rank profound at most. Normally, one's will would reach the peak of the 4th step, and those who could break through to the 5th step were few and far between. The top 5 young warriors had basically reached the point where they couldn't make any progress. Therefore, they were the most powerful among the young warriors. Even Lin Tian, who was close to the top 5 young warriors, couldn't handle a few attacks from Xiao Chuha. Therefore, the top 5 young warriors stood at the peak of this level. If they wanted to catch up, they would have to reach the point where they couldn't make any progress. Chapter 605. Only 3 more spirit plants, and then I will have all the materials needed to make the antidote for the shadowless poison. Inside the mountain that was covered in fog, there was a small town. Normally, there would not be a single person in the town, but today there were a lot of people walking out of the town. Among the crowd, a young couple was walking side by side. The man was wearing blue robes, with a long sword hanging on his waist, and the girl was wearing a purple dress, with a light veil covering her face. It was indeed Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing, who had left the West Hill City about a month ago. Yi Qin said after letting out a breath. Murong Qingqing glanced at Yi Qin, pressed her lips together and said, "I did not expect you to be able to collect so many materials in such a short time. There are still 3 more, so it should not take too long. Thank you." Her mother, Su Ruhui, had been poisoned by the shadowless poison, which had been weighing on Murong Qingqing's mind for a long time. In fact, if she had not been distracted, she could have reached the Sea of Souls realm much earlier. After Su Ruhui's help, she was finally able to focus on her closed-door training, and finally reached the Sea of Souls realm 2 months ago. She originally thought that Yi Qin would not be able to collect that many materials by himself, but she did not expect that Yi Qin would put so much effort into it, and managed to collect almost all of the precious materials. When she arrived, he was still missing 5 materials, but now he was only missing 3. Yi Qin chuckled and did not say anything more. He changed the topic. "I did not expect that there would be a small town like this in the middle of nowhere. If I did not get the information from the pavilion, I would have missed the 2 materials that I just got." The small town was called the Barren Mountain Town, which was located at the border between the Sky Marshal region and the North region. No one had lived there for hundreds of years, and then it became a place for a secret auction to deal with some shady items. The time of the auction was not fixed. Sometimes it would be held once every few months, and sometimes it would not be held even once every few years. Through the pavilion, Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing knew that there was going to be an auction here, so they rushed over from hundreds of thousands of miles away. A group of people stood on a tall building near the town's gate. "Did you see that? It's the 2 of them. At the auction, that kid spent hundreds of thousands of upper-level spirit stones to buy 2 spirit grasses without even blinking. I'm guessing that he has more upper-level spirit stones on him." The person who spoke raised a finger. 100,000 top-grade spirit stones, the person beside him said subconsciously. "Wrong. It's 1,000,000 upper spiritual stones. 1,000,000? That's too much. Perhaps his wealth has already been depleted." "I've been in the auction house for so many years, how could I be blind? Apart from Life and Death Kings, I haven't seen anyone below Life and Death King realm. No matter how high their strength is, they will always reveal some clues. From their eyes, facial expressions, and even some small movements, I can guess their net worth. For example, if you have 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones, if you spend 90,000 upper-grade spirit stones to buy something, you will definitely feel heartache. You will unconsciously make a move, but you won't be aware of it." "That sounds reasonable. You said that that brat spent hundreds of thousands of top-rank spirit stones, but he did not feel heartache at all. Therefore I can guess that his net worth is around 1,000,000. Indeed, this is a big deal. I am just afraid that we will not be able to afford it. Everyone who dares to come to this town must have something up their sleeves. This brat must be a powerful martial genius from the Sky Marshal region. Unfortunately, I have never seen him before." If you haven't seen him before, it means that he is not that famous. As long as he is not one of those famous young warriors, we will have 100% chance of succeeding. Even if it is a famous young warrior, the success rate would be above 60%. Fortune comes from danger, not to mention that we still have 3 godly martial puppet cannons. Damn. Let's do it. Yi Chen's fame had only started to spread throughout the Sky Marshal region this month. The barren ridge town was located at the border between the Sky Martial region and the North region. There were a lot of people who did not know about Yiqin. We are almost out of the fog-hidden magic array. Yiqin and Yiqin did not fly into the air. The barren ridge town was surrounded by a huge fog-hidden magic array. Inside the fog-hidden magic array, one could only walk out or in step by step. Once they flew into the air, it would be very easy for them to get lost in the thick fog, which would be a waste of time. This was also the reason why the barren ridge town was chosen as the location for the secret auction. Watch out! Yiqin suddenly grabbed Murong Qingqing's hand and stepped back. Boom! A glaring red light landed on the ground in front of the two of them. In an instant, a huge pit appeared out of thin air. It had a diameter of 100 meters and a depth of more than 50 meters. The exposed surface of the pit was crystallized, and the soil had been burned into crystals. Puppet cannon? Yiqin and Murong Qingqing stepped back very fast. They were only hit by the shockwave, which was not a big deal. However, the power of the red light made them look serious. If they did not step back in time, the red light would have landed on them. Even if they did not die, they would have been crippled. Damn it! They dodged it. Let's fire together. I do not believe that they can fly away. 3 miles away, a group of people spread out. In front of them were 3 huge puppet cannons. There were wheels on the bottom of the cannons, and their bodies were dark red with complicated patterns carved on them. There was a circle on the top of the cannons, which had a white crystal embedded in it. There was a human shadow on the crystal, which was obviously Yiqin and Murong Qingqing. Boom, boom, boom. The puppet cannons vibrated, and 3 eye-piercing red lights shot out like 3 burning meteors in the fog, aiming right at the 2 people who were a few miles away. After dodging 2 of the red light, the third one seemed to be unavoidable. Yiqin took out his Thunder Disaster Sword and threw out a sword attack, hitting right in the middle of the red light. Swoosh! He had already used his Gold Resonant Radiant Sword attack this time, which sliced the red light in half. The 2 weaker ones landed on the left and right sides, exploding into a huge flame. Strange. How did they manage to aim at us? Yiqin was curious, since this fog-hidden spell had the effect of weakening soul power as well. Based on his estimation, it would be around 100 times. With Yiqin's powerful soul power, he could only shoot it out 5 miles away. Most of the Sea of Souls realm warriors could only reach 1 mile. But, according to his senses, the attacker was 3 miles away, which meant that they would be able to aim at them from 3 miles away. Darkness sky. With both of her hands wrapped in a black chi, Murong Qingqing pushed up a semicircular black shield, protecting Yiqin and herself within. What? Gone? On top of the white crystal, Yiqin and Murong Qingqing had disappeared. In their eyes, it was something unimaginable since it was not a normal crystal. It was a precious crystal that could sense life. It was not originally mounted on the godly martial puppet cannon, but they had gotten it from some ruins. They had suddenly thought of putting it on the cannon, which was like adding wings to a tiger. They had used it to attack countless master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors who were more powerful than them. It must be some kind of secret art. Damn. Let's go. This thing is troublesome. This group of people left without hesitation, putting away the godly martial puppet cannon and disappearing without a trace. They are gone. The moment the black screen was erected, the red light did not attack again. Yiqin guessed that it was probably because the Dark Profound had the ability to block out the senses. After all, his soul power had been weakened 80 to 90% by the black screen. When Murong Qingqing dispersed the black screen, Yiqin realized that there was no one 3 li away from him. This Dark Profound of yours is indeed powerful. Yiqin praised. Murong Qingqing said, unfortunately, there is only one defensive martial art. Being able to learn the Dark Profound will benefit me a lot. In the future, I will be able to create my own profound martial art based on the characteristics of the Dark Profound. Ever since the Sky Thunder Cut and Gold Resonant Radiant Sword art had both reached completion, reaching 130% respectively, Yiqin had already started to study new sword movements. After all, the Sky Thunder Cut and the Gold Resonant Radiant Sword art were a bit too low, unable to contain the Thunder Profound and Gold Profound. In Yiqin's eyes, the sword movements were like a container, and the Profound was the water. Once the water was full, it would be completed. But once the water overflowed, it meant that the Profound had surpassed the sword movements level, since there were still mid-rank Profound sword movements above the low-rank Profound. Who are you people? Dozens of miles away, the group of people who had tried to sneak attack Yiqin and Murong Qingqing had been stopped by a group of men in black robes. These people's bodies were very vague, looking like black smoke or floating shadows, giving people the feeling that they did not have any mass. The leading man laughed. "The puppet cannon is not bad. Leave it and I will not kill you." "Why?" Before he could finish, the leading man's body suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in the crowd. After a couple of rounds, the group of people who were planning to sneak attack Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing had all fallen down, their chests pierced through. Taking away these people's storage rings, the leading man opened them one by one and soon found 3 godly martial puppet cannons. "Not bad. These 3 cannons are the top of the top-rank puppets." Another man in black said, "I did not expect this group of trash to have puppet cannons. But it seems like we have gotten lucky. The puppet cannons are an unexpected gain. But killing that young man named Yi Chen and taking that girl is our real goal this time." That Yi Chen is not simple. No wonder he could take off Duan Lingya's right arm and make the ice pavilion angry. They took out 2 million top-rank soul stones to hire our assassins. That price is enough to kill 10 normal master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. No, not 2 million top-rank soul stones, it is 3 million. Don't forget, all of their wealth is ours as well. Second leader, when should we do it? No rush. Taking that girl would be easy. As for killing Yi Chen, it would be a bit difficult. I do not want to lose half of our men just to complete the mission. It would not fit our motto. Either we do not kill or we do not kill. We, the assassins of the Ghost Shadow Pavilion, have never failed in our mission in the past 10 years. Unfortunately, that girl. Once we hand her over to the Ice Pavilion, she would be doomed. What can we do? We are paid to do it. Plus, you guys are not good people either. I do not believe that you would not be tempted. Second leader, you are so smart. Chapter 606. Among the top 10 cities in the world, the Sky Martial region had 4. The Xianming city was a super city near the northern regions. Within the Xianming city, it snowed all year round and the weather was dark and gloomy. There were often strong gusts of wind that could blow away houses that were not very sturdy, and could also blow ordinary people with low cultivation into the sky. In a manor in the city, Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing had been living a peaceful life. When they were free, they would make tea and chat and forget about each other. Of course, the two did not forget to cultivate. On the empty ground of the manor covered in snow, Yi Chen held a normal sword in his hand. His body moved and the sword light danced in the air. Beams of gold light shot out from the tip of the sword. Sword art does not have to be as complicated as possible. It should be as close to the profound as possible. If I can get close to the profound, I will get twice the result with half the effort. If I can't get close to the profound, I will get half the result with twice the effort. The metal profound is all about sharpness, but I always feel that it is missing something. The metal yuan qi turned into sword qi crisscrossed, and with a few cracking sounds, the thick layer of frost on the surface of the lake was cut open. The lake water surged up, and as the sword qi increased, the frost was broken into pieces, and some of it was directly turned into powder by the sword qi, turning into ice water. In the lake, circles of ripples spread out. Inadvertently glancing at the lake, Yi Chen stopped what he was doing and stared at the ripples on the lake. Metal, water, right, metal gives birth to water. Something in Yi Chen's mind seemed to have been opened, and he suddenly understood. Generally speaking, gold begets water, water begets wood, wood begets fire, fire begets earth, and earth begets gold. Generally speaking, gold mines are always found near rivers, which means that wherever there is gold, there must be water. As for gold begets water, it doesn't mean that when the metal melts, it will turn into liquid metal. Instead, when the metal is left for a period of time, there will be water droplets on the surface of the metal. In a deeper sense, the metal's temperature will moisturize the metal. Therefore, if one wanted to create a sword movement that was more suitable for the metal profound, they couldn't just focus on the metal element, but also on the water element. After figuring out the breakthrough, Yi Chen continued to practice his sword art. It could be seen that Yi Chen's sword art no longer pursued sharpness and fierceness. Gradually there was a gentleness to it. This gentleness did not make the sharpness of the sword art dissipate. Instead, it made the sword art more resilient and offensive, increasing its lethality. 3 days later, a crisp sound of a sword rang out. Yi Chen waved his sword, and a few streaks of golden sword qi spread out like ripples towards the fake mountain next to the lake. The rockery did not move at all. With a smile on his face, Yi Chen pushed out with his left hand and a palm wind blew out. Swoosh! The fake mountain was shattered into pieces, falling onto the ground. The cut was smooth and clean as if it had been carefully polished. There was not even a single speck of dust on it. Normally, when he used his gold profound sword art to cut, there would be some dust. That was because the sword chi was too sharp and aggressive, which made the power spread out. The gentleness had made the sword chi even more condensed. This attack is still in its early stages, but I have finally found the right path. Since it was inspired by water, I will call it Gold Pattern. Gold Pattern. It was the first mid-rank profound sword art that Yi Qin had created. Its power was twice as powerful as the gold resonant radiant sword art, and that was because it had not been completed yet. Once it was completed, even normal mid-rank profound martial arts would not be able to reach such a level of power. Because this attack was no longer just a simple gold profound sword art. On this day the sky was clear, which was rare for it to be. White snow covered the sky and everything was covered in silver. I have been here for a couple of days and I still have not had the chance to walk around the Xianming city. Let's go for a walk. After spending some time together, the relationship between Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing had developed naturally. The two were enjoying each other's warmth as they walked out of the mansion hand in hand. Xianming City was one of the top 10 cities in the world, so the flow of people was astonishing. Once the sky cleared up, the streets were filled with people. There were martial artists with sabers and swords, peddlers and servants, travel-worn merchants, and young masters and ladies of rich families. Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing walked in the crowd, looking like cranes among chickens. After walking for a while, the two arrived at a restaurant and sat by the window. Have you heard? On the 18th of September, Xia Hozuan from the Godly Finger Martial School is going to battle with Bai Wuxia on the Nine Dragon Mountain. Suddenly, someone said a shocking piece of news. What? Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxia are going to battle? Is this news true? Of course it is. Right now, this news has spread all over the Sky Martial region. The Xianming city is located in the north of the region, so it would take a bit longer for the news to arrive. The top 5 young warriors challenging each other is such a grand occasion. Normally they would not do it in a big way and would only do it in the dark. Once they challenge each other, they would have to have a winner and it would be very intense. In the past 5 years, only the sword master had challenged Xiao Chuhe once. That time, it was the sword master who was slightly more powerful, wounding Xiao Chuhe with one sword attack. But I heard that Xiao Chuhe's power had already grown to an unpredictable level. So, I would not say that he is weaker than the sword master. Moreover, Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxia have never revealed their full power. I did not expect that they would challenge each other this time. Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing heard all of these people, and they could not help but be interested. The 18th of September. There is still 1.5 months from now. Murong Qingqing said. Yi Qin said, I have seen Bai Wuxia once before. His power is unpredictable and his aura is everywhere. He is much more powerful than Lin Tian Mu and Yun He. The top 5 young warriors should all be at the peak of the Sea of Souls realm. If they continue to break through, they would be heading toward the life and death realm. I wonder if those famous master-level warriors from the older generation would be able to compete with these 5? Murong Qingqing said. Yi Qin shook his head. There might not be many who could beat the top 5 young warriors. Of course, it is not like there are none. The leader of the Dragon God Celestial Palace, Zhang Jingguang, is already close to the top 5 young warriors. As for the other 4 palaces such as the Black Dragon Palace, Azure Dragon Palace, White Dragon Palace and Red Dragon Palace, there might be some palace leaders who are as powerful as the top 5 young warriors, or even more powerful. There are also the top 3 Blade Master level warriors. Xiao Chuhe had only beaten one of them, Xin Qianlang. Yeah. Murong Qingqing nodded and laughed. Right now there are rumors in the Sky Martial region saying that you are the number 1 warrior just below the top 5 young warriors. Even Duguju and Dantai Mingyue have been left behind by you. Yi Qin chuckled. That is not necessarily true. You know that I have improved really fast in the past couple of months and now I have slowed down. So, the others must have their periods of rapid improvement and slow improvement as well. Sometimes it does not mean much. As the two were talking, the restaurant became more and more lively. You guys, who do you think is stronger? Xia Hozuan or Bai Wuxia? That is hard to say. Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxia both have their own glorious sides. Xia Hozuan is one of the top master-level warriors in finger arts, while Bai Wuxia is the only Sea of Souls realm warrior who made it out of the blood-crying ghost region alive in the past 20 years. Without a battle, it would be hard to tell who is stronger. Although that is the case, I still think Xia Hozuan will win. You did not see his finger art. It is so shocking. I heard that it is something called the Void-Shattering Finger, which contains the space profound. Space profound. Gasps were heard one after another. Yi Chen's pupils had shrunk as well. Yi Chen, what is it? Murong Qingqing asked. Yi Chen forced a smile and said, you should know that I have a finger art, which also contains the space profound. It is called the void-shattering finger. If I have guessed it right, Xia Hozuan's void-shattering finger and my void-shattering finger come from the same source. They are two movements of the void-shattering finger. Two movements of the void-shattering finger? So, besides the two of you, there might be other void-shattering finger arts out there? Yi Chen said, I do not know how many movements of the void-shattering finger art Xia Hozuan has. But he and I will cross paths in the future. I just do not know where things will go. The void-shattering finger art and the white key that he got from the Goat Head Mountain contained a shocking treasure. Until now, Yi Chen still did not know what it represented. He vaguely knew that it was a graveyard, the graveyard of a titled emperor. Of course, it was just a literal understanding and no one knew what it actually was. After all, there were just too few clues. Then, you should try not to expose your void-shattering finger art in the future. Murong Qingqing reminded him. Yi Chen said, I will. This battle between Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxia is a great opportunity for me. Perhaps, my void-shattering finger art will also make a breakthrough to the profound level. Without even thinking about it, Xia Hozuan's achievement in the void-shattering finger art would definitely be higher than Yi Chen's, since he was at least 10 years older than Yi Chen. Otherwise, he would not have been able to become one of the top 5 young warriors. Xia Hozuan would definitely use his void-shattering finger art during his battle with Bai Wuxia. By then, Yi Chen would be able to observe his void-shattering finger art and learn the profound of space. Haha, it is less than a month and a half until the 18th of September. With my speed, I should be able to reach the 9-Dragon Mountain just in time. After drinking, I will leave immediately. You are right. It would be such a pity if I did not go and take a look at such a grand occasion. Plus, the top 5 young warriors have invited each other to battle, so all of the top young warriors in the world would definitely come to watch. Not just the top young warriors, even the master-level warriors from the older generation would come. They would also like to see how powerful the top 5 young warriors are. The news about the battle between Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxia was just too shocking. The atmosphere in the restaurant was extremely heated, and it had not calmed down yet. Let's go. Putting down a piece of gold, Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing walked out of the restaurant. Among the people who were drinking, someone accidentally glanced at Yi Chen from the side. He poked the person next to him and said, why do I feel like he looks a bit like Yi Chen who had beaten Lin Tian? Yi Chen. Let me see. The person next to him looked over and frowned. Then he looked at Murong Qingqing who was right next to Yi Chen. It is Yi Chen. After what happened in the Westling City, there was a lady in a purple dress with a light veil on her face right next to Yi Chen. Yi Chen. Everyone's attention had been attracted, but unfortunately Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing had already walked out of the restaurant. There was a rumor in the Sky Martial region that Yi Chen was the top young warrior just below the top 5 young warriors. This news had already reached the Xianming city. Chapter 607. Back at the mansion, the two didn't go to the 9-Dragon Mountain right away. Although the 9-Dragon Mountain was far away, the two both had flying puppets which could fly day and night. In less than half a month they would be able to get to the 9-Dragon Mountain. Plus, it was not pointless for them to stay here. They were waiting for the news from the pavilion. The pavilion had 10 branches in total, and they were all located in the top 10 cities in the world. There were also some branches in smaller cities, but they were only used to collect information, and they did not accept inquiries. Arriving at the Xianming city, Yi Chen spent a large amount of top-rank soul stones to ask the pavilion to help him gather information about the last 3 materials. He promised that he would have a reply in a month, and it had already been half a month. The night came and the entire Xianming city was in darkness. Formation. In the cold wind, groups of people in black suddenly appeared from all directions, heading towards the mansion that Yi Chen was in. There were 49 of them in total, but they did not enter the mansion. Instead, they waited outside and each of them formed a hand seal. The hand seals were exactly the same, and the speed at which they formed the hand seals was exactly the same. It was not hard to imagine that they had practiced this technique hundreds and thousands of times, without a single mistake. As they formed the hand seals, circles of black shadows spread out with them as the center. There was a slight difference between the black shadows and the night sky, which was that it was completely black and would not reflect any light. 49 people and 49 black shadows combined together, eventually forming a massive black light shield that covered the entire mansion. From the outside, it looked like the mansion had disappeared into thin air. Inside the mansion, sneak attack. Yi Chen walked out of the house and stepped on the snowy ground, and Murong Qingqing followed him. The two raised their heads. The sky was pitch black and there were no stars at all. Looking out of the mansion, the buildings outside the mansion seemed to have disappeared as well, and there was only darkness. Swoosh. Yi Chen pointed his finger at the darkness, and a ray of sword chi shot out like a beam of light. Without a sound, the sword chi disappeared into the darkness. Such a powerful formation. It has formed a ward. Yi Chen's eyes focused as he said, "Ward." Murong Qingqing had heard of this term before, but she didn't know much about it. A barrier can be said to be a kind of domain. This kind of domain separates us from the outside world. Inside the barrier, no matter what happens, it will be difficult for the outside world to know unless the barrier is broken. Of course, this is only the most basic ability of a barrier. Murong Qingqing said, "Such a meticulous plan, it should be a powerful assassination force. I wonder which assassination force it is?" This enchantment contains the profound of shadow. If I have guessed it right, the people who created this array are assassins from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion. The Ghost Shadow Pavilion is the #1 assassin in the whole continent, and the leader of the pavilion, the Sha Ancestor, is the #1 assassin in the whole world. He also has 4 assassin kings under his command. But, the Sha Ancestor and the assassin kings have nothing to do with us, since they would not need to use life and death realm warriors to assassinate us. Otherwise, the whole continent would be in chaos already. Facing a crisis that he had never encountered before, Yi Chen did not panic too much. Panicking would only give the assassin an opportunity, which would not help the situation. Outside the dark shadow barrier, a group of men in black that had appeared near the town walked out. Being able to force us to use the 7 extreme ghost shadow spell, this Yi Chen should be proud of himself even if he dies. In the past 10 years this is the 3rd time we have used it. The leading man in black said, "For normal master level Sea of Souls realm warriors, 2 or 3 of us would be enough. But for a famous master level Sea of Souls realm warrior, we would need a set of careful plans. But, according to the information we have gathered, this Yi Chen's survival ability is extremely horrifying. Therefore, I had no choice but to ask for permission to use the 7 extreme ghost shadow spell, and they had agreed to send out 49 support killers to help us." The Ghost Shadow Pavilion had its own rules. They would only have one chance to assassinate someone, and if they failed they would not be able to do it again. Of course, it was not because the Ghost Shadow Pavilion was kind-hearted, but because of the pressure from all sides. Since there were more powerful parties than just the Ghost Shadow Pavilion in the whole continent, if they made the public angry, then they would not be able to stay in the whole continent anymore. Even so, there were still people who came to cause trouble for the Ghost Shadow Pavilion, trying to take them out. There is only one chance. I do not want any failures under my leadership. Don't worry, second leader. With the help of the 7 extreme ghost shadow spell, this assassination will not fail at all. I don't even think we will need to use it. Do not be too careless. I have a feeling that this assassination will be the most difficult one. The leading man in black, who was called the second leader, was not saying it out of nowhere. After being an assassin for a long time, one would have a feeling in their heart. If the other targets were prey in his eyes, then Yi Chen would be the hunter. No matter how powerful the prey was, it would still be captured, and the hunter would most likely turn the tables and try to assassinate them. Alright, let's move. Open a door. The leading man in black looked cold as he ordered one of the killers who had set up the ward. Yes. The killer who had set up the ward changed his hand seal, and a door appeared on the pitch-black light cover. It was still pitch black inside the door. The group of people walked in and the door was closed. In the manner, black shadows were everywhere, like a group of demons dancing. These black shadows could appear anywhere. In the trees, in the snow, in the air, in the buildings, in the flowers, and even in the lake there were black shadows coming out. If one thought that the black shadows had no killing power, then it would be a big mistake. These black shadows should be controlled by the killers who had set up the ward, and they had extraordinary killing power. The black shadows could also materialize and assassinate 2 people. Swoosh. Slashing a black shadow with his sword, Yi Chen realized that this black shadow seemed to have an immortal body, and it would quickly regenerate. Curtain of Darkness. Murong Qingqing used the Dark Profound, and a black light cover appeared, protecting Yi Chen and herself. Bang. The Dark Profound was very magical, and it could stop the black shadows from invading. But it was useless. Although the black shadows outside couldn't come in, the Curtain of Darkness was inside the ward, so the space inside the curtain of darkness would produce new black shadows to assassinate them. Dispersing the curtain of darkness, Murong Qingqing frowned. Although these black shadows can't do anything to us, being trapped inside is not a good thing. Yi Qin said indifferently, wait, the trump card will come soon. Although the ward was powerful, it was just a supporting function. The real assassin would be the killer, and that would be the most thrilling battle. He die. Among the black shadows there were some slightly different black shadows. These black shadows weren't exposed to Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing's sight, but they were hiding behind other black shadows. At this moment, several black shadows shot over. After being cut, one of them materialized, and a purple dagger appeared in his hand. The tip of the dagger was purple and it was obviously poisonous. Swoosh. The dagger stabbed into the back of Yi Chen's heart. Success. Watch out. The killer didn't have time to be happy as he saw that he had stabbed a black shadow. The black shadow disappeared and a cold voice came from behind him. Shadow profound, I know it too. Crack. The killer's head was twisted by a hand, and his face was full of shock, as if he was asking who the killer was. Bastard, this guy knows Shadow profound too. The other killers who had snuck in gritted their teeth. At the same time they couldn't help but shiver. A prey that knew Shadow profound was many times more dangerous than a prey at the same level. After killing one killer, Yi Chen's body twisted, turning into a black shadow and rushing into the area where the black shadows gathered. Good chance. I will go catch that girl now and make him hesitate. Another killer's face flashed with joy. Without making a sound, he started to approach Murong Qingqing. Murong Qingqing's pupils suddenly opened. There was another pupil inside and it was a black vertical eye. Glancing around, she saw a faint human shadow flying over. Flying sky assassination cut. Murong Qingqing threw out a palm attack. Boom. That killer was blown away, puking out blood from his mouth. Hehe, you are indeed worthy of the perfect demi-demon bloodline. You can see through the shadow profound. Unfortunately, your vision is too narrow. A faint human shadow appeared behind Murong Qingqing again, pointing at the acupuncture point on the back of her neck. Are you talking about yourself? Yi Qin had appeared behind him out of nowhere. The three of them were in a straight line. Behind Murong Qingqing was the killer, and behind the killer was Yi Qin. What? Impossible. When did he get here? The killer's face was full of fear. Reaching out his right hand, Yi Qin grabbed the killer's head. With a twist of his wrist, the killer's head was turned around, facing Yi Qin. Be careful. Yi Qin naturally knew about Murong Qingqing's abilities. She was not an ordinary person. She had cultivated a demi-body, and she also had the perfect demi-demon bloodline. Anyway, she was clearly different from humans. Her assassination skills were much better than most people. Yeah, I know. Murong Qingqing, on the other hand, was quite impressed by Yi Chen's unpredictability. Even she did not know how he got here, so she guessed that he must have used some kind of trick. The black shadows inside the barrier were endless. Murong Qingqing's demon eyes could only see through 1 or 2 layers of black shadows. If there were more layers of black shadows, the demon eyes would be useless. After all, the shadow profound was not an ordinary one. It was a profound used for assassination. Soul destruction wave. Facing the incoming black shadows, Murong Qingqing reached out her palm. A black light ball was condensed and she clenched her fist. Buzz. The black light ball exploded, shooting out in a fan shape. Ah! An assassin could not bear the soul attack and showed himself. With a flash, Murong Qingqing chopped off the assassin's head. On the other side, Yi Qin killed another assassin. In total, 4 assassins had died in the hands of Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing. However, in the following confrontation, Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing both found that the assassins were getting more and more powerful. In other words, the ones who died earlier were the weaker ones. The ones who survived were all elite assassins who had experienced hundreds of battles. Humph, I finally tested your bottom line. Next, you two will not be able to escape from our palms. Yi Qin knew the shadow profound and Murong Qingqing had the demon eyes. This was the consensus of the remaining assassins. Soul eyes open. Right at this moment, a slit appeared between Yi Chen's brows, and a silver radiance leaked out. In the manner, all the assassins had nowhere to hide. Chapter 608. The killers from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion did not know how powerful Yi Chen's soul eye was. Although they felt a bit uneasy, they did not do anything. Plus, even if they knew about the power of the soul eye, there was no way out for them. The duration of the soul eye was very short, so Yi Qin had to finish the battle as soon as possible. Therefore the second he opened it, he threw out a sword attack toward the two killers not far away. It was the gold pattern that he had just learned. A couple of messy gold sword chi spread out like a pattern, and the two killers were instantly cut into pieces. There was no blood coming out from the wounds as it was all sealed inside their bodies. This was the horrifying part of the gold pattern. The power only traveled in one line, and the power that leaked out was very little. Die. Yi Chen's sharp counterattack had made the killers from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion panic a bit. One of them, who had been hiding very well and was getting closer to Yi Chen, could not hold it in anymore. His body appeared from the crowd of black shadows. He had two ghost claws on his hands, which were shining with a dim light. Within a second, dozens of claw shadows had been shot out. Reverse Sky Thunder Cut. Yi Chen did not panic at all as he reached his left hand into his waist, holding his gold sword in a reverse grip. He threw out a sword attack, the dark blue sword light shining brightly. Swoosh. The claw shadow split apart, and a red line appeared on the killer's face. Blood poured out from the red line, and in the next second his whole body was cut in half. Is he a human or a ghost? The rest of the killers saw this scene and started to panic for the first time. Up until now they had not even touched Yi Chen, but he had already killed 6 of them. They were all ghost killers who had killed Master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors before. But now they had all been killed by Yi Chen, and they had not even found a way to kill Yi Chen yet. Do not waste time with him. Capture that woman. Finally, these killers understood that it was impossible to kill Yi Chen now. Only by capturing Murong Qingqing would they have a chance. Even if it did not work out, they could still use Murong Qingqing to complete the mission, since the mission was divided into 2 parts. One was to kill Yi Chen and the other was to take Murong Qingqing away. Swish swish swish. All the assassins from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion pounced on Murong Qingqing at the same time. As for the black shadows controlled by the assassins who had set up the wizardry barriers, they surrounded Yi Chen and prevented him from helping. For a moment, Murong Qingqing and Yi Chen were separated. Curtain of Darkness. Murong Qingqing was not an existence that could be killed at will. The Curtain of Darkness could not stop the incorporeal shadows, but it could stop the assassins from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion. Bang bang bang. The sound of explosions rang out continuously. The assassins of the Ghost Shadow Pavilion were blocked outside the black barrier. Shadow Stab. An extremely powerful assassin from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion had a ferocious look on his face. He pierced through the black barrier with one strike, and his body flashed as he dashed inside. Little bitch, when I catch you, I'll take good care of you. If you want to blame someone, blame your sweetheart. This assassin from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion was very afraid of Yi Chen, and this fear gave birth to ruthlessness. This time, even if he could not kill Yi Chen, he would make him suffer. How arrogant! Murong Qingqing's pupils were vertical, which was the demon eye she had after cultivating the demon body. With the demon eye, she could see every move of her opponent. Boom. The two exchanged one move, and the assassin from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion had the upper hand. He changed his footwork, and the assassin turned into a wisp of black smoke, approaching Murong Qingqing in a flash. His movement and flying skill were indeed unexpected. Even if Murong Qingqing's speed was not any slower than his, it still gave the illusion that she could not block it. Swoosh. 2 black shadows spread out behind Murong Qingqing. They were not the shadows inside the wizardry barriers, nor were they the assassins from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion. They were a pair of black bat wings that were 1 meter long. The black bat wings stretched out from Murong Qingqing's shoulder blades, and a wave of horrifying demon power spread out crazily. What? After missing his attack, the assassin realized that Murong Qingqing had disappeared, and what was left was only a shadow. What was even more frightening was that because Murong Qingqing's speed was too fast, her aura was still lingering on the shadow. No matter how good his eyes were, no matter how sharp his senses were, he would not be able to tell the real one from the fake one. Flying Assassination Cut. With the black bat wings on her back, Murong Qingqing performed her profound sense martial art perfectly. It was obvious that she was not as powerful as her opponent, but she was still able to beat him. Looking from afar, this assassin was surrounded by Murong Qingqing's shadows, which kept attacking the assassin in the middle. They were as fast as black shooting stars, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Being surrounded by so many black shadows, Yi Chen was not too worried, since he already knew about Murong Qingqing's hidden power. For example, the demon eyes and the black bat wings. The demon eyes were formed naturally after training the demonic body, since the eyes were also part of the demonic body. Meanwhile, the black bat wings were Murong Qingqing's special power. If Yuan Ye's special power was the strengthening of defense, then Murong Qingqing's special power would be the strengthening of speed, and this pair of black bat wings would be the key to that. Ding, dang, dang. From being at a disadvantage to having the upper hand, Murong Qingqing's attacking power had increased drastically. Of course, it would still be impossible for her to kill her opponent within a short period of time. Let's go together. The rest of the killers from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion jumped up after the black wall disappeared. They turned into countless black shadows, trying to kill Murong Qingqing. Murong Qingqing had fallen into a disadvantage again, and her route of movement was constantly blocked by the killers from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion. Break! 100 steps away, Yichen crossed his two swords in front of him, breaking through the black shadow's blockade. Amaranthan nature. A sword light flashed once outside of his body as Yichen caught a killer from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion and threw out a sword attack. Swoosh! There were not many people who could dodge the Amaranthan nature, and it obviously did not include the one who had been hit by the sword. The soul eye is about to close. Feeling the pain in between his eyebrows, Yichen seized the last chance and threw out a couple of sword attacks. Dozens of messy gold sword chi spread out, killing a lot of the killers from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion. Only one killer from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion was still fighting against Murong Qingqing. The soul eye had finally closed. However, Yichen did not really need it anymore. Run! That killer from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion ran towards the edge of the barrier. Where do you think you are going? Yichen followed closely behind him. Let's die together. Realizing that he could not escape, that killer suddenly turned around. Intense black light shone out of his eyes, nose, mouth and mouth. He was going to explode himself. Unfortunately, Yichen's sword was so fast that it pierced through his eyebrows. After killing the last killer from the Ghost Shadow Pavilion, Yichen slightly relaxed his nerves. During this short period of time he seemed to be very relaxed, but he was actually extremely tense. He did not dare to make a single mistake because he knew that he was facing the best killer in the whole continent. Abruptly, a figure jumped out from the shadow of the rockery on the right side of Yichen. He was the leader of this group of killers and was called the deputy leader. You will not escape death after all. The deputy leader's face was full of joy. He did not expect that he would lose so many warriors to kill Yichen. Almost all of them had been killed. But it was all over now. At least he had survived and completed the mission. He did not care too much about the loss of his warriors. As an assassin he would die sooner or later. Oh yeah. Yichen did not have enough time to dodge and he could not even block out the attack. However, he still had enough time to activate his dragon power. The dragon power combined with his physical body covered his entire body. All of a sudden, a layer of white bone appeared on his skin. A light pressure spread out and even the air seemed to have frozen. Boom. The second leader of the Ghost Shadow Pavilion had pierced through Yichen's protective Zhenyuan layer and landed on his chest. Even with the gold armor, Yichen would still be wounded badly. Once he was wounded badly, he would not be able to compete with the second leader of the Ghost Shadow Pavilion. However, with the protection of the dragon bone layer, he had only backed out for dozens of steps, and there was not a single wound on his body. 3 layers of defense. One was the protective Zhenyuan, the second was the gold armor, and the last was the dragon bone defense. If Yichen was wounded, then it would be really strange. After all, assassins were not that powerful in terms of attacking power. What they studied was assassination. Impossible. The deputy leader was shocked. It was not that he had never seen prey with powerful defense before, but he had never seen one like Yichen. If all the targets had this kind of defense, then there would be no need for the Ghost Shadow Pavilion to exist anymore. After all, if he could not even break through their defense, then how could he assassinate them? Unless the target did not have any defense and came to him on his own. Gold pattern. With the dragon bone defense, Yichen did not feel much of the vibration. Plus, because of the dragon power, his body was extremely powerful. His qi and blood only shook a little before returning to normal. Activating his Zhenyuan, Yichen held his breath and waved out a sword attack. Dang, dang, dang. The deputy leader was very powerful, only slightly weaker than Yichen, and almost at the same level as Lin Tianmu and Yun He. Soul extinguishing wave. Murong Qingqing appeared from the side with an extremely fast speed. She threw out her ace attack right from the start. The unique soul attack landed on the deputy leader's soul C. Not good. Even though Murong Qingqing's comprehension of the soul extinguishing wave had not reached completion yet, it was still enough to make the deputy leader's face turn pale, and he felt dizzy. Die. This time Yichen took care of the deputy leader smoothly. The scattered golden sword chi sliced him into pieces, sending his limbs flying everywhere. Mission failed. Back out. Seeing the deputy leader die, the 49 assassins who had set up the ward all stopped their attacks, dispelling the ward. They then ran in different directions, disappearing into the night. They sure ran away fast. Yi Chen did not plan to chase after them, since he knew about the rules of the Ghost Shadow Pavilion. There was only one chance to assassinate a target. Once the mission failed, there would be no more assassinations. Of course, there were some exceptions. The black bat wings on her back flapped as Murong Qingqing put them away and sighed. If they had not run into us, they would have more than 90% chance of succeeding. There are always people who are not afraid of assassination, and we are one of them. Time flew by and half a month had passed. Right then news came from the pavilion as well. Out of the 3 materials, only one of them was in the hands of a rank 6 martial institution, which happened to be on the way to the 9-Dragon Mountain. Therefore Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing left for the 9-Dragon Mountain immediately. Chapter 609. The Flowing Spring Valley was one of the many rank 6 martial institutions in the Sky Martial region. The leader of the valley, Huang Mei, was a rare female leader. Her power was not weak at all, and she was also a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior. As a veteran rank 6 martial institution in the Sky Martial region, there was no reason for her not to know about Yi Chen. Therefore she seemed to be very friendly toward Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing's visit. Yi Chen exchanged a few words with them before telling them the reason for their visit. Hearing him, Huang Mei frowned and forced a smile. If you two had come a few months earlier, I would have given the fruit to you for sure. Unfortunately, you came at a bad time. The only fruit in our martial institution has already been made into a pellet with other ingredients. Yi Chen said, I heard that there is a phoenix plume tree in the Flowing Spring Valley. Could it be that this tree only has one fruit? Huang Mei knew that the other party suspected that she was evading, so she explained, a phoenix plume tree that is thousands of years old will naturally have more than one phoenix plume fruit, but the phoenix plume tree of our sect is only 900 years old. It blooms every 3 years and bears fruit every 3 years. If you two don't believe me, I can take you to see the phoenix plume tree. I believe that with your eyesight you should be able to see the phoenix plume tree. That will not be necessary. Yi Chen also knew that the maturity of the phoenix plume tree had something to do with the number of fruits. Since she had already said it, it would be disrespectful of him if he still doubted her. Warrior Yi is in urgent need of the fruit? Huang Mei asked. Yi Chen nodded. I need it to make an antidote for saving people. Huang Mei said, Young hero Yi, perhaps you can go to the northern sector's desolate fire region to take a look. Our sect's phoenix plume tree was transplanted from the desolate fire region. Although I don't know if there's a second phoenix plume tree there, it's better than no hope. Desolate fire region? That was the barbarian race's territory. 2/3 of the entire northern regions were the barbarian race's territory, while the remaining 1/3 was occupied by other races. Where exactly is the desolate fire region? A region was just too huge. Even a life and death realm warrior would not be able to explore the entire region without leaving a single gap in his or her entire life. This phoenix plume tree was found in the western part of the barbaric mountains. I have a map here that I can give to young hero Yi. Huang Mei took out an aged map from her storage ring and handed it over to Yi Chen. This map did not have much value to her anyway, so she might as well do him a favor. Yi Chen took the map and opened it. The map only outlined the terrain of the barbaric mountains. Everything else was drawn with lines. Putting away the map, Yi Chen said emotionally, Everyone says that Leader Hua is a kind person. Now that I have seen him, it is indeed true. I can see that you are at peak level late Sea of Souls realm, and you should be accumulating your Zhenyuan to prepare for breaking through to the life and death realm. How about this? I have a couple of plants here as a thank you gift. Huang Mei wanted to reject it, but she said, breaking through to the life and death realm is not that easy. I can only try my best. As for the thank you gift, forget it. I did not help you that much anyway. Yi Chen chuckled, Valley Leader Hua, don't be in such a hurry to reject me. The herbs that I want to give you are the necessary materials for making extreme rank heaven spirit pellets. If you can find the other leftovers, you can make a batch of extreme rank heaven spirit pellets, which would save you at least 10 years of hard work. As he spoke, Yi Chen took out a couple of plants with powerful spirit chi. The necessary materials for making extreme rank heaven spirit pellets. Huang Mei was shocked. Breaking through to the life and death realm would require way too much Zhenyuan. Although her cultivation was still far from the life and death realm, and she might not be able to reach it in this lifetime, who would have the confidence to make it? If she did not prepare well, there would be no hope at all. If she really had a furnace of extreme rank heaven spirit pellets, it would indeed save her at least 10 years of hard work. Plus, even if she could not reach the life and death realm in the future, she would still have the chance to reach half-step king warrior. This? Hua Yingmei blushed a bit. Before she had rejected it, but now she was hesitating again. Here, leader Hua. Yi Qin handed the plants to him. Although these plants were precious, he had quite a lot of them, and they were all from the Treasure River Island and the Savage Ancient Place. Most of them were from the Treasure River Island. Unfortunately, it was already hidden, otherwise he would like to go there again. Valley Master Hua took the herbs and said seriously, I only helped young Hero Yi with a small matter, but young Hero Yi gave me a big gift. If there's anything you need help with in the future, just tell me. My Flowing Spring Valley has some connections. Then I will leave now. Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing stood up and said goodbye. Leaving the palace, the two walked toward the entrance of the valley. This leader is quite easy to talk to. Murong Qingqing laughed. Yi Qin nodded. As the leader of a martial school, Leader Hua's attitude is indeed admirable. He might even have a chance to reach the life and death realm. As they spoke, the two arrived at the entrance of the valley, got on the flying puppet and flew toward the Nine-Dragon Mountain. The Nine-Dragon Mountain was one of the most famous mountains in the Sky Martial region. It was huge, no smaller than a mid-sized mountain range. It looked like it was surrounded by 9 dragons. Along the way, Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing could see Sea of Souls realm warriors flying toward the Nine-Dragon Mountain. Some of them were alone, while some were in groups, which were obviously the disciples of the big martial institutions. Some of them were riding on vicious flying beasts, looking quite extraordinary. All in all, the Nine-Dragon Mountain had become the most popular place. Haha, Brother Yi, what a coincidence. On the right, Hai Wuya and his junior brothers and sisters were approaching on a water-type flying demonic beast. Yi Qin chuckled, Oh, it is Brother Hai. The two of them exchanged a few words before introducing each other to the people beside them. Brother Yi, it has been a couple of months since I last saw you. Your name has become quite famous in the Sky Martial region. Everyone says that you are the #1 warrior just below the top 5 young warriors. To be honest, when Hai Wuya first heard the news, he was indeed shocked. All of them had the dragon blood plant and they had all trained some of it. But the improvement was not that huge. At most, it would be a small increase. On the other hand, Yi Qin had already surpassed most of the famous young warriors. Yi Qin forced a smile. Times have changed. I guess a lot of people do not like me anymore. You are right. Besides the top 5 young warriors, no one would dare to call themselves the #1 warrior. Therefore, a lot of people do not like you. I guess there will be a lot of people who will challenge you. It is inevitable. Let's see who is more powerful with our moves. Yi Qin did not care much about it. There would be a price to pay for being famous. If one did not want to pay the price, then it would be best not to be famous at all. As long as you are confident. Hai Wuya changed the topic. Speaking of which, this battle between Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxia has caused quite a big commotion. All of the young warriors want to see the gap between them and the top 5 young warriors. Those older generation master-level warriors also want to know how powerful the top 5 young warriors are, and if they have the power to threaten them. Anyway, this battle might be a meeting of master-level warriors, and there will be a lot of people there. I guess half of all the master-level warriors in the whole True Spirit continent will be there. Yi Qin said, the battle between Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxia would also be beneficial to the people watching. I think that is the main reason. Yeah, indeed. Yes, that is indeed the case. Cultivation base, will and profound sense are all part of one's basic strength. Everyone has them, but when two people with similar basic strength meet each other, there might be a huge gap. For example, the profound sense contained in the low-grade profound sense martial arts are all about the same, so no one will be able to surpass the other by much. However, why would there be a difference in the power? That is because of the difference in martial arts styles and usage. Moreover, the profound sense martial arts created by oneself and the profound sense of others are the same, but the profound sense martial arts created by oneself are more suitable for oneself, and can display the extreme power. There are too many of them, and it is impossible to judge a person's strength from the basic strength. You still have to look at the battle power. 3 days later, Yi Qin and the group of people arrived at the Nine-Dragon Mountain. Hai Wuya said, Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxia's battle location is right in the middle of the Nine-Dragon Mountain, the Nine-Dragon Lake. Let's go. When Yi Qin and the group arrived at the Nine-Dragon Lake, it was already surrounded by people. Some of them seemed to be enjoying themselves, building pavilions and even wooden houses near the lake. Following what Yi Qin and the others had done, more people were building places to watch the battle. This is indeed a grand occasion. Looking around, Yi Qin could see at least hundreds of master-level Sea of Souls Realm warriors, and thousands of Sea of Souls Realm warriors. None of them were weak and their auras were powerful. Yi Qin is here. Hai Wuya is here as well. Some of the people had recognized Yi Qin and Hai Wuya, who was quite famous. There is a small mountain over there. The Nine-Dragon Lake was huge and there were not that many people here yet. So, there was still a lot of empty space around. Yi Qin controlled his flying puppet to carry him and Murong Qingqing over there. Hai Wuya naturally followed as well, since a small mountain was more than enough for more people to watch the battle. One of the top 3 master-level blade artists, Shen Qianlang, is here. Although Shen Qianlang had lost to Xiao Chuhe, one of the top 5 young warriors, no one doubted his power. So, the necessary respect was still necessary. Look. One of the top 3 master-level blade artists, Lin Qiaonan. The leader of the Wavy Snow Palace, the Snow Sword Master. And the number 1 master-level Thunder Master of the Thunder region. Those who could be recognized by the crowd were all famous Sea of Souls Realm master-level warriors. As for those famous Sea of Souls Realm master-level warriors in certain regions, not many people knew them since this was the Sky Martial region, the center of the continent. Without enough power and fame, no one would be able to recognize you. There were still 2 days before the battle. Within these 2 days, people started to arrive one after another. There were already more than 500 master-level Sea of Souls Realm warriors. It sounded like a lot, but one should not forget that there were trillions of people in the continent. It would be normal for there to be 500 master-level Sea of Souls Realm warriors, and it would be normal even if there were thousands of them. After all, there would be 10 life and death realm warriors every 100 years. After 1,000 years, there would be more than 100 life and death realm warriors, not to mention master-level Sea of Souls Realm warriors. The reason why the human race was so powerful was because of their huge numbers. Without enough power, no matter how powerful an individual was, it would be useless. The ancient demons had lost in terms of numbers. One day before the battle, the Nine-Dragon Lake was heated up again. Xiao Chuhe is here. Sword Master. Dugu Ju. Yan Fengfeng. And the leader of the top 3 master-level blade artists, Xie Baiting. In other words, Xie Baiting's status was the highest among all of them. It was because he was the leader of the top 3 master-level blade artists, and he had never been defeated before. Even the top 5 young warriors might not be able to threaten him. Chapter 610. I'm afraid this battle will be the most influential one in the past 20 years. Yan Fengfeng and Yi Qin and Hai Wuya were from the same sect, so they naturally brought the disciples of the mysterious martial school to this small hill. Hai Wuya nodded. 5 years ago the battle between Lu Xiaoyu and Xiao Chuhe was not this popular. But, it is also because of that battle that it has brought about such a big scene today. Lu Xiaoyu was the leader of the top 3 young warriors and also one of the top 5 young warriors. Although there were a lot of people watching the battle between him and Xiao Chuhe, it was not as big as today. But after Xiao Chuhe had lost to Lu Xiaoyu, he had trained hard for 3 years, and his power had already reached an immeasurable level. He had even beaten Shen Qianlang, one of the top 3 blade artists, which had made the older generation of master-level warriors realize that the top 5 young warriors were not as simple as they thought. If they did not pay attention to them, then they might be beaten by the top 5 young warriors one by one. Therefore the battle between Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxia had caused such a big commotion. Looking at the master-level Sea of Souls Realm warriors that could be seen everywhere, Yi Qin could not help but shake his head. Among the older generation, not to mention master-level Sea of Souls Realm warriors, even Spirit Realm warriors would be hard to find. In fact, even normal Sea of Souls Realm warriors would be extremely rare in the South Rudra region. The top 6 rank 6 martial institutions would each have 7 to 8 Sea of Souls Realm warriors, which would be around 50 in total. The Murong family had a bit more Sea of Souls Realm warriors, around 30 of them. Adding some of the Sea of Souls Realm warriors who did not belong to any martial institutions, there would be at least 100 or 200 of them. Of course, there were also some Sea of Souls Realm warriors who were out all the time and did not return to the South Rudra region. Murong Qingqing was obviously thinking the same thing as Yi Qin. She frowned slightly, a helpless look in her eyes. South Rudra region, Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian have both reached the Sea of Souls realm. Murong Qingqing said. I think it's about time for me to advance. Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian were the top martial geniuses of the whole South Rudra region after all. Plus, they were not that young anymore, being almost 30 years old. Of course, one could not forget about one person, which was Xikong Sheng. Thinking about it, Xikong Sheng had a high chance of reaching the Sea of Souls realm. In the afternoon, the number of people who had arrived at the Nine-Dragon Lake had reached a new high, tens of thousands of people. Most of them were Sea of Souls realm warriors, and master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors had reached an unprecedented 600. Perhaps this number would not be broken for a long time, because almost all of the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors had arrived. Look, it's Dantai Mingyue. In the sky, a graceful woman in a red dress flew over on a big bird with 5 colored feathers. Like Murong Qingqing, the woman's face was covered with a veil. However, this veil was not black but red. Dantai Mingyue came alone and landed on a huge tree. On top of the cliff, Duguju, who had been meditating with his eyes closed, opened his eyes and looked at Dantai Mingyue. The battling intent in his eyes was not hidden at all. The top 3 martial geniuses are all here. It seems like they have the same cultivation, all at peak level mid-Sea of Souls realm. Judging from the results so far, Yi Qin is slightly more powerful. Duguju and Dantai Mingyue have not done anything in the past 2 years. It is true that Dantai Mingyue has not done anything yet. Duguju had beaten Tai Shichong, one of the top 3 young sword masters, a couple of months ago. He has already made it into the top of the young warriors. I wonder if the top 3 martial geniuses will compete with each other? I don't think so. It is not the right time yet, and it would be pointless. Just like the top 5 young warriors, once they make a move, the whole world will be shocked. With the gathering of the top 3 martial geniuses, the atmosphere in the Nine-Dragon Lake was heated up again. Perhaps with the top 5 young warriors in power, the top 3 martial geniuses would not be able to compete with them yet. But as time went on, most of the people thought that the top 3 martial geniuses would definitely challenge the top 5 young warriors and replace their positions. But the condition was that they would have to improve fast enough. A beam of sword light shot over from afar, its sharp sword chi shooting into the sky. Before the person had even arrived, the wind and clouds had already started to change, as if it was not a human but a great sword. It was indeed Tai Shichong. It seems like he has successfully reached the late Sea of Souls realm. His power has improved quite a bit. Yi Qin could tell with one glance that Tai Shichong was at the late Sea of Souls realm right now. His Zhen Yuan was as rich as the ocean, and his qi was extremely powerful. Of course, the improvement in his cultivation was still not that big of a deal. What was worth mentioning was that every time a Sea of Souls realm warrior made a breakthrough, there would be a temporary state of being one with the world. According to the warrior's comprehensive ability, they would be able to gain different levels of comprehension. It was because of this state that Yi Qin had managed to train his gold resonant radiant sword art to 130%. After that, he created his gold pattern, which was also influenced by the state, since creating a mid-rank profound sense martial art would require a certain level of comprehension. Duguju, do you dare to challenge me? Once he appeared, Tai Shichong stared at Duguju, who was training with his eyes closed, and yelled. What? Tai Shichong wants to challenge Duguju? What is so strange about that? Tai Shichong's power had increased a lot, so of course he would want to win back his pride and beat Duguju. I wonder if Duguju would accept the challenge. Everyone's gazes landed on Duguju. Duguju opened his eyes again and looked at Tai Shichong coldly. It seems like you are quite confident that you can beat me. Cut the crap. Do you dare to challenge me? Tai Shichong's eyes were sharp. Standing up slowly, Duguju said, Why not? Alright, you and I will battle in the lake. Tai Shichong flew toward the center of the lake. With a slight movement of his body, Duguju shot out like a peerless blade. I did not expect the two to battle again. Hai Wuya stared at the center of the lake. Duguju, take this. Stepping on the surface of the lake, Tai Shichong and Duguju started to battle. All of a sudden, the blade light and the sword shadows were everywhere, and the lake water was separated by the two from time to time. This battle lasted for a whole 300 attacks. Within those 300 attacks, the two had performed their most powerful attacks one after another. It was not hard to tell that Duguju did not have the advantage like the first time, and Tai Shichong, who had improved a lot, was not able to suppress Duguju like he had expected. Despair Blade. Finally, Duguju was forced to use his ace attack. Within that white rainbow-like blade light, all living beings' shadows appeared on it, and the despair chi spread out in the air. Duguju, if this is all you have, then this time you will lose for sure. Tai Shicheng's body jumped into the air, stabbing out toward that white rainbow-like blade light. That sword attack gave people the illusion that it was unstoppable, as if it was a sword attack coming down from the sky. A more complete heaven and earth sword. Yi Chen's pupils shrank. Back then, Tai Shicheng's usual attack was the heaven and earth sword finger art. Heaven and earth represented the earth, which was the profound of the earth, carrying all living beings. The sky was replaced by the profound of water. However, back then, Tai Shicheng's heaven and earth sword was just a rough combination of the profound of the earth and the profound of water. But right now, the two had a deeper connection, and that sword attack was like the judgment of the sky sword. Right now, Tai Shicheng's power was no weaker than Lin Tian's. Duguju could not handle that sword attack, and blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth. Duguju lost? Everyone gasped. Dantai Mingyue looked very calm, not moving at all. Duguju, you have lost. After successfully beating Duguju, a curve appeared on Tai Shicheng's face. Wiping away the blood from his mouth, Duguju lifted up his head and said, "Really? I do not think that I will beat you with only one blade attack." Arrogant. Hearing him, Tai Shicheng frowned. He thought that Duguju was just being stubborn. Whether I am arrogant or not, you will find out soon. Take my real despairing blade attack. As he spoke, Duguju's aura changed drastically. His whole body sank into a despairing aura, and from that despairing aura came a horrifying power. It was extremely evil, turning Duguju into an evil spirit, an evil demon wrapped in despair. Ah! The sound of the long blade slicing through the air was heard. It was an extremely horrifying sound. It was actually a twisted laughter. Once the person heard the laughter, his face turned pale, and his body started to twitch uncontrollably. It seemed like he had encountered something that made him feel hopeless. Chem? One of the top 5 young warriors, Xiao Chuha, who had been watching calmly, frowned. There were not many things that could make him frown. Sword Master Lu Xiaoyu also looked like he was thinking about something. Swoosh. Facing this blade attack, Tai Shicheng could not react at all and was blown away, falling into a coma. Soon, a couple of people who were close to Tai Shicheng helped him to the corner and stared at Duguju with a pale face. They could not imagine how Duguju could become this horrifying all of a sudden. Dong. What happened next shocked everyone even more. They saw Duguju slap his palm on his forehead, making a loud sound. Then his whole body seemed to have returned to normal, but his face was even paler. It seemed like he had used up a lot of mental energy. Strange. His whole body has sunk into the despairing aura, as if he is using the despairing aura to increase his power. Yi Chen studied Duguju, who was still meditating with his eyes closed. I did not expect Duguju to be this horrifying. It seems like we have underestimated him. Yeah. Even if Tai Shicheng is not as powerful as Lin Tian, he is not that far off. But he still could not take one blade attack from Duguju. But Duguju does not look that good either. He must have used a power that he could not control. Everyone was a bit surprised by this result. This Duguju is so powerful. I would like to see it for myself. But he is not in his best condition right now. I am afraid that he will not be able to take one attack from me. Inside a pavilion next to the lake, an evil-looking young man with a face as white as powder waved his fan and said lightly, "Lan Shecheng, you had the upper hand in the battle with Lin Tian back then. Do you want to battle with him again?" Someone standing right next to him said. The young man who was called Lan Shecheng shook his head. Before that, I might have been interested in battling with him. But unfortunately he had lost to a young brat. Challenging him is not what I want. Anyway, I will go challenge Yi Chen and see what kind of power he has to beat Lin Tian. As he spoke, the evil-looking young man stood up and looked at where Yi Chen was, yelling, "Yi Chen, do you dare to take 10 attacks from me?" It is the evil child Lan Shecheng. He wants to challenge Yi Chen. Before one wave had subsided, another wave arose. Everyone's attention was drawn over Lan Shecheng. Duguju opened his eyes tiredly. 2 years ago he had the upper hand in the battle with Lin Tian. Today he is going to challenge Yi Chen, who had beaten Lin Tian before. This is going to be interesting. Yeah. Everyone says that Yi Chen is very powerful, but I do not even know what is so powerful about him. Is it because Lin Tian has fallen, or is it because Yi Chen is really powerful? Perhaps we will find out now. Chapter 6:11. I'm afraid this battle will be the most influential one in the past 20 years. Yin Fengfeng and Yi Chen and Hai Weia were from the same sect, so they naturally brought the disciples of the mysterious martial school to this small mountain. Hai Wuya nodded. 5 years ago the battle between Sword Master Lu Xiaoyu and Xiao Chuhe was not this popular. But, it is also because of that battle that we are able to have such a grand occasion today. Lu Xiaoyu was the leader of the top 3 young sword masters, and also one of the top 5 young warriors. Although there were a lot of people watching the battle between him and Xiao Chuhe, it was not as big as today. But after Xiao Chuhe had lost to Lu Xiaoyu, he had trained hard for 3 years, and his power had reached an unfathomable level. He had even beaten Xin Qianleng, one of the top 3 Blade Master level warriors, which had made the older generation of Master level warriors realize that the top 5 young warriors were not as simple as they had thought. If they did not take it seriously, then they might be beaten by the top 5 young warriors one by one in the future. Therefore the battle between Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxia had caused such a huge commotion. Looking at the Sea of Souls realm warriors that could be seen everywhere, Yi Qin could not help but shake his head. Among the older generation warriors, not to mention master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors, even spirit warriors were rare. In fact, even normal Sea of Souls realm warriors were extremely rare in the whole South Rudra region. The top 6 ranked 6 martial institutions would each have 7 to 8 Sea of Souls realm warriors, which would be around 50 in total. The Murong family had more Sea of Souls realm warriors, around 30 of them. Adding some of the Sea of Souls realm warriors who did not belong to any martial institutions, there would be around 1 to 200 of them. Of course, there might be some Sea of Souls realm warriors who stayed outside all the time and did not come back to the South Rudra region. But overall, the overall power of the South Rudra region was indeed extremely weak. Murong Qingqing was obviously thinking the same thing as Yi Qin. She frowned slightly, a helpless look in her eyes. South Rudra region, Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian have both reached the Sea of Souls realm. Murong Qingqing said. I think it is about time for them to make it. Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian were the top martial geniuses of the South Rudra region after all. Plus, they were not that young anymore, being close to 30 years old. Of course, one could not forget about one person, which was Sikong Shing. Thinking about it, the possibility of Sikong Shing reaching the Sea of Souls realm was quite high. In the afternoon, the number of people arriving at the Nine Dragon Lake reached a new high. There were tens of thousands of people, most of whom were Sea of Souls realm warriors. There were more than 600 master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. Perhaps this number would not break through for a long time, because almost all of the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors had arrived. Look, it is Dantai Mingyue. In the sky, a beautiful woman in a red dress flew over while riding on a huge bird with 5 colored feathers. She was just like Murong Qingqing with a light veil covering her face. However, it was not black but red. Dantai Mingyue came alone and landed on a towering tree. On top of the cliff, Du Gujue, who had been meditating with his eyes closed, opened his eyes and looked at Dantai Mingyue. The battling intent in his eyes was not hidden at all. The top 3 martial geniuses are all here. It seems like their cultivation is the same, all at peak level mid-Sea of Souls realm. Judging from the results so far, Yi Qin is slightly more powerful. Du Gujue and Dantai Mingyue have not made any moves in the past 2 years. It is true that Dantai Mingyue has not made any moves, but Du Gujue had beaten Tai Shichong, one of the top young warriors, a couple of months ago. He has already reached the top of the young warriors. I wonder if the top 3 martial geniuses will compete with each other? I don't think so. It is not the right time yet and it would be pointless. Just like the top 5 young warriors, once they make their moves, the whole world will be shocked. The gathering of the top 3 martial geniuses had made the atmosphere in the Nine Dragon Lake a lot more intense. Perhaps right now, with the top 5 young warriors in power, the top 3 martial geniuses would not be able to compete with them yet. But as time went on, most of the people thought that the top 3 martial geniuses would definitely challenge the top 5 young warriors and replace their positions. However, the condition was that they would have to improve fast enough. A beam of sword light shot over from afar, its sword chi shooting into the sky. Before the person had even arrived, the wind and clouds had already started to change, as if it was not a human but a great sword. It was indeed Tai Shichong. It seems like he has successfully reached the late Sea of Souls realm. His power has improved quite a bit. Yi Qin could tell with a glance that Tai Shichong was at the late Sea of Souls realm right now. His Zhen Yuan was as rich as the ocean, and his chi was extremely powerful. Of course, the improvement in his cultivation was not that big of a deal. What was worth mentioning was that every time a Sea of Souls realm warrior made a breakthrough, there would be a temporary state of being one with the world. It was because of this state that Yi Qin had managed to train his gold resonant radiant sword art to 130%. After that, he had created his gold pattern, which was also influenced by the state of being one with the world. After all, creating a mid-rank profound sense martial art would require a certain level of comprehension. Du Gujue, do you dare to battle? Once he appeared, Tai Shichong stared at Du Gujue, who was sitting in meditation with his eyes closed, and yelled. What? Tai Shichong wants to challenge Du Gujue? What is so strange about that? Tai Shichong's power had increased a lot, so of course he would want to win back his dignity and beat Du Gujue. I wonder if he would accept the challenge or not. Everyone's gaze landed on Du Gujue. Du Gujue opened his eyes again and looked at Tai Shichong coldly. It seems like you are quite confident that you can beat me. Cut the bullshit. Do you dare to battle? Tai Shichong's eyes were sharp. Slowly standing up, Du Gujue said, Why not? Alright, you and I will battle in the lake. Tai Shichong flew toward the center of the lake. His body flashed once and Du Gujue shot out like a deadly blade. I did not expect the two to battle again. Hai Wuya stared at the center of the lake. Du Gujue, take this. Stepping on the lake water, Tai Shichong and Du Gujue started to battle. All of a sudden, the blade light and the sword shadow spread out everywhere, and the lake water was split apart by the two. This battle lasted for a whole 300 attacks. Within those 300 attacks, the two had performed their most powerful attacks one after another. It was not hard to tell that Du Gujue did not have the upper hand like the first time, and Tai Shichong, whose power had increased drastically, was not able to suppress Du Gujue like he had expected. Despair Blade. Finally, Du Gujue was forced to use his ace attack. Within that white rainbow-like blade light, the images of all living beings appeared on it, and the despair chi spread out everywhere. Du Gujue, if you only have this one attack, then you will lose for sure this time. Tai Shichong's body jumped into the air as he stabbed out a sword attack toward that white rainbow-like blade light. That sword attack gave people the illusion that it was unstoppable, as if it was a sword attack coming down from the sky. A more complete natural sword. Yi Chen's pupils shrank. That day, Tai Shichong's usual attack was a natural sword finger art. Heaven and earth represented the earth, which was also the profound of earth, carrying everything. Sky was replaced by the profound of water. However, back then Tai Shichong's natural sword was just a rough combination of the profound of earth and water. But right now the two seemed to have reached a deeper level. That sword attack seemed to be the judgment of the sky sword. Right now, Tai Shichong's power was no weaker than Lin Tian's. Du Gujue could not handle that sword attack, and blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth. Du Gujue lost? Everyone gasped. Dantai Mingyue looked calm, not moving at all. Du Gujue, you have lost. After successfully beating Du Gujue, a smile appeared on Tai Shichong's face. Wiping the blood off his mouth, Du Gujue lifted up his eyes and said, Oh yeah? I don't think I will beat you with one blade attack. Arrogant. Hearing him, Tai Shichong frowned. He thought that Du Gujue was just being stubborn. Whether I am arrogant or not, you will know soon enough. Take my true despairing blade attack. As he spoke, Du Gujue's aura changed drastically. His whole body sank into a despairing aura, and from that despairing aura, a horrifying power was born. This power was extremely evil, turning Du Gujue into an evil spirit wrapped in despair. Ah! The sound of the long blade slicing through the air was heard. It was an extremely horrifying sound. It was actually a twisted laughter. Once the person heard it, his face turned pale, and his body started to twitch uncontrollably. It seemed like he had encountered something that made him feel hopeless. Ichem? One of the top 5 young warriors, Xiao Chuhe, who had been watching the whole time, frowned. There were not many things that could make him frown. The sword master Lu Xiaoyu also seemed to be thinking about something. Swoosh. Facing this blade attack, Tai Shichong could not react at all and was blown away, falling into a coma. Soon, a couple of people who were close to Tai Shichong helped him to the corner and stared at Du Gujue with pale faces. They could not imagine how Du Gujue had become this horrifying all of a sudden. Dong. What happened next shocked everyone even more. They saw Du Gujue slap on his forehead, making a loud sound. Then his whole body seemed to return to normal. However, his face was even paler, as if he had used up a lot of mental energy. Strange. His whole body has fallen into a despairing aura, as if he is trying to get more power out of it. Yi Qin studied Du Gujue, who was still meditating with his eyes closed. I did not expect Du Gujue to be this powerful. It seems like we have underestimated him. Yeah. Even if Tai Shichong's power is not as powerful as Lin Tian's, it should not be too far off. But he still could not take one blade attack from Du Gujue. But Du Gujue does not look that good either. He must have used some power that he could not control. Everyone was a bit surprised by this result. This Du Gujue is so powerful. I would like to see him for myself. But he is not in his best condition right now. I am afraid he would not be able to take one attack from me. In a pavilion next to the lake, an evil-looking young man with a face as white as powder waved his fan and said lightly, "Lan Sheqing, you had the upper hand in the battle with Lin Tian back then. Why don't you spar with him again?" Someone beside him said. The young man called Lan Sheqing shook his head. "Before that, I might have been interested in fighting with him once. Unfortunately, he lost, and to a brat who has just come out of nowhere. Challenging him is not what I want." "Fine, I will go challenge Yichen. Let's see what he has to beat Lin Tian." As he spoke, the evil-looking young man stood up and looked in Yichen's direction, yelling, "Yichen, do you dare to take 10 attacks from me?" It is Lan Sheqing. He wants to challenge Yichen. Before one wave had subsided, another wave arose. Everyone's attention was drawn over Lan Sheqing. Du Gujue opened his eyes tiredly. 2 years ago he had the upper hand in the battle with Lin Tian. Today he wants to challenge Yichen, who had beaten Lin Tian. This is going to be interesting. Yeah. Everyone says that Yichen is powerful, but I don't even know how powerful he is. Is it because Lin Tian has fallen, or is it because Yichen is really powerful? Perhaps we will find out now. Chapter 6:12. The sky soon darkened, and the stars shone brightly in the night sky. The Nine-Dragon Lake was not as busy as during the day, but it was not quiet either. 4 Sea of Souls realm warriors, not sleeping for a couple of days was as simple as eating and drinking. It would not affect their mental state at all. Of course, at night, no one would make a fuss and ruin the peaceful atmosphere. They were all chatting with people they could talk to. On top of a small hill, a well-designed wooden house stood there. There were a lot of cracks that could not be seen with naked eyes, seeming like it could be dismantled at any time. It was about the size of a normal family's living room, more than enough to hold dozens of people. Inside the house, Yichen and the rest were drinking tea and chatting. "Brother Yi, this puppet house of yours is indeed a rare item. It should still be able to activate the protective layer, right?" Hai Wuya studied the interior of the house and could not help but be amazed by the skills of the puppet school. Yan Fengfeng's flying ship, Yichen's flying puppet, and the puppet house were all the works of the school. It was not hard to imagine how prosperous the school must have been back in the day. Yichen chuckled, "Just a small toy." This puppet house was obtained by him and the second disciple of the floating snow martial school when they entered the ruins of the puppet school. It would not be good for battling or defending, but it was very convenient. "Sister Murong Qingqing, the qi on your body seems to be different from normal demi-demons." Yan Fengfeng sipped on the tea and said to Murong Qingqing. She called Yichen brother disciple, so naturally she would call Murong Qingqing sister disciple as well. Murong Qingqing said, "My path is different from normal demi-demons. I train demon power." No wonder. Yan Fengfeng was not too surprised. Murong Qingqing had the perfect demi-demon bloodline, so she had 2 choices. One was to train Jin Yuan and the other was demon power. Normal demi-demons could only train Jin Yuan, and could not train the more powerful demon power. But demon power was not good either, since it was very rare on this true spirit continent. Even the pellets that were suitable for human warriors could not be used, and it would be very hard for them to make a breakthrough. She should have had some kind of special experience to be able to train to Mid-Sea of Souls realm. It was getting deeper into the night, but no one wanted to sleep. They chatted while waiting for the day to come. A red sun slowly rose and the Nine Dragons Lake was dyed golden red, sparkling under the light. The spectators who hadn't slept the whole night were stirred up spontaneously and looked forward to the match. The battle between Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxia is today, but I do not know what time it is. It is so hard to wait. There's no rush. We've already waited for a few days. Why would we care about a few more days? Xia Hozuan's door is closer to the Nine-Dragon Mountain, so it should be him who got there first. Someone guessed. Outside the wooden house, Yichen put away the puppet house and stood side by side with Murong Qingqing at the edge of the mountain peak, bathing in the golden red sunlight of the morning sun. He's here. Murong Qingqing's eyesight was very good, and it seemed that only Yan Fengfeng, who was a blue phoenix, could compete with her. It's Bai Wuxia. Yichen looked over and saw a white figure drifting over from the horizon. Bai Wushua's speed was extremely fast, and it only took him a couple of breaths to arrive at the Nine-Dragon Mountain. He landed on one of the steep peaks. He was wearing white robes that were embroidered with plums, orchids, bamboo, and chrysanthemums. He looked very handsome, and there was no trace of impatience on his face. Bai Wushua, I did not expect you to be here before Xiaohozuan. Xiao Chuhe, who was also one of the top 5 young warriors, opened his eyes and said. Bai Wushua said lightly, I always like to be one step ahead of my opponents. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. I hope that your battle with Xiaohozuan will give me some inspiration. As he said the second sentence, Xiao Chuhe closed his eyes again, standing there with his arms crossed. Bai Wushua looked away from Xiao Chuhe and exchanged a look with the sword master, Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu looked very calm and did not say anything. Right now Bai Wushua is here and Xiaohozuan will be here as well. But isn't there still one more of the top 5 young warriors? Why is he not here yet? The top young warriors present were Bai Wushua, Lu Xiaoyu, Xiao Chuhe, and Xiaohozuan. There were 4 of them in total, so there was still one more to go. Speaking of which, I do not think I have seen that one before. I heard that it is a girl. How could we have seen her before? The last top young warrior had been recognized by all 4 of them. Otherwise, why would the 4 of them recognize her? Yeah, to be able to make the 4 of them recognize her, she must have the same power as them. Yi Chen asked Yan Fengfeng, Sister Yin, do you know about the 5th top young warrior? Yan Fengfeng shook her head, I have seen her once, but I do not know anything about her background. I only know that people call her the Godly Shark Princess. If I have guessed it right, she should be a beast as well. Godly Shark Princess? Yi Chen shook his head, thinking that it was indeed mysterious. After waiting for a while, a golden figure finally appeared in the southwest direction. Before the person had even arrived, that aggressive aura had already spread out. Xiaohozuan. Xiaohozuan is here. Finally. This aura. It is so powerful that people would not even have the thought of fighting back. That aggressive aura. Xiaohozuan is indeed Xiaohozuan. The heated atmosphere seemed to be contagious as it covered the entire lake within a second. Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing exchanged a look. They felt like they were looking at another Chu Zhongtian. But of course, Xiaohozuan's aura was not something that Chu Zhongtian could compare with, since one was one of the top 5 young warriors while the other was only famous in the southern region. Bai Wushua, you are still the same. Xiaohozuan laughed out loud. A gold light flashed once as he stood on top of the water in the middle of the lake. His body was filled with an aura of dominance. The lake water started to ripple with him as the center, spreading out in all directions as if he was the center of the whole world. Xiaohozuan's body was extremely huge, with broad shoulders and long legs. He was wearing a bright gold robe with a gold crown on his head. His eyebrows were very long, reaching all the way to his temples. His eyes were like a pair of cold stars in the night sky, shining brightly. I wonder how Chu Zhongtian would feel after coming here. Murong Qingqing could not help but ask. Yi Chen said, do not underestimate Chu Zhongtian. Regardless, he has the evil spirit body. Once his cultivation catches up, no one would dare to say that they would be able to win against him. Yi Chen would never underestimate Chu Zhongtian. Judging solely on physical talent, he had not seen anyone who could surpass him. There was not even anyone who could match him. As for whether or not he would meet someone like that in the future, it would still be unknown. On top of the steep mountain, Bai Wushua said, you are still the same. Cut the bullshit. Let's have 1,000 attacks first. Xiaohozuan did not wait for Bai Wushua to get down as he lifted up his right index finger and pointed out. Boom. The mountain under Bai Wushua's feet suddenly exploded like a goddess scattering flowers. Then countless rocks of various sizes shot out with Bai Wushua as the center. It was like this finger had created a huge gravitational field around Bai Wushua. Break. Bai Wushua waved his right hand, and all of the rocks in front of him turned into dust. Then he jumped out and arrived in front of Xiaohozuan, throwing out a palm attack. Boom. That palm attack was like the palm of a giant spirit, and a massive palm print appeared on the surface of the lake. The scariest thing was that the lake seemed to have been solidified. The palm print was imprinted on the surface, and the patterns could be seen clearly. Point at the sky. Xiaohozuan laughed as he drew a circle around his body with his index finger. The space pattern started to vibrate in a regular pattern, forming a twisted defensive layer. The defensive layer had taken on Bai Wushua's palm attack and shattered instantly. However, it did not hurt Xiaohozuan at all. Su King Finger. Using the defensive layer to block out Bai Wushua's palm attack, Xiaohozuan attacked back aggressively. He pointed out his finger, and a king warrior shadow appeared behind him, pointing out toward Bai Wuxia as well. Chi wave 100 sky. Bai Wuxia suddenly landed on the lake surface, stepping on the solidified lake water. His left hand was placed in front of his chest while his right hand was straightened in the air. His 5 fingers opened slightly, welcoming Xia Hozuan's finger power. Boom, boom, boom. The 9-dragon lake was dozens of miles wide. As the two clashed head-on, the solidified lake surface started to move up and down. In the end, thousands of water columns exploded out, each of which was dozens of meters thick and thousands of meters tall. The water level of the lake had dropped by 200 meters. Too heaven-defying. Every move is unstoppable. Top 5 young warriors. They are indeed a bunch of monsters. Everyone held their breaths as their faces turned red. Powerful. So powerful. So powerful. Hai Wuya said it 3 times in a row. He could guarantee that not to mention battling with them, he would not even be able to handle the aftershock of their attacks. This was the power of the top 5 young warriors. Each of them were the top warriors among the young warriors, and the others could only look up to them. Taking a deep breath, Yi Qin said lightly, "Right now they are still testing each other. They are all using the profound sense martial arts from before. Of course, it would be best if the profound sense martial arts were created by oneself, because if it was created by oneself, one would be able to feel more, and would be able to bring out its power to its extreme. I really would not know if I did not see it. Now that I have seen it, I am shocked." As one of the top 3 blade art master level warriors, Lin Qiaonan was indeed shocked. Although his power was slightly higher than Xin Qianleng, and he had improved a lot in the past 2 years, he still did not have the confidence to fight against either Bai Wuxia or Xia Hozuan. Xia Beiding nodded, "Just their power right now is not something to be underestimated. Wait until they use all of their power, I am afraid that even I will have to pay attention to them." Being able to make Xia Beiding say that he would pay attention to them would be rare. It had been decades since Xia Beiding had been the number 1 blade art master level warrior in the world, and no one had ever been able to take him down. Top 5 young warriors. Duguju sat on the rock with his legs crossed, his eyes shining brightly. He did not look like he was injured at all, but it was not hard to tell how excited he was. In the middle of the lake, Bai Wuxia and Xia Hozuan had already exchanged hundreds of attacks. Neither of them could do anything to the other because each of their attacks had reached the pinnacle of speed, power, technique, and spirit light flash. Even normal attacks could be turned into a deadly attack in their hands, catching their enemies off guard. 800 attacks. 900 attacks. 1000 attacks. Indeed, if I do not risk my life, I will not be able to win against you. A gold mist rose up from Xia Hozuan's body, which was caused by his intense qi and blood circulation. The space outside of Bai Wuxia's body started to blur as he said lightly, "Let's do our best." Chapter 613. If there was no winner, then this battle would be meaningless for them. Since they had chosen to battle, then they would have to have a winner. They are going all out now. Hearing the conversation between the two, everyone watching could not help but feel their hearts skip a beat. They wondered how horrifying it would be once the two used all of their power. Dong. The lake water caved in as Bai Wuxia and Xia Hozuan battled again. Compared to before, this time the two had pushed their power to its limit, not caring about their Zhenyuan consumption anymore. The two had made it clear that they would not use pellets to replenish their Zhenyuan during the battle. Bai Wuxia, take my shooting star finger. Xia Hozuan flew into the air as both of his fingers flicked in the air. Countless massive shooting star finger power shot out like a meteor shower. Grafting. Bai Wuxia did not back out at all as he pushed his Zhenyuan to its limit. Eventually, a massive ancient tree appeared outside of his body. It was crystal green, looking like it was made out of diamonds. Countless branches reached out like an umbrella. Pow, pow, pow. Xia Hozuan's shooting star finger power had just touched the Zhenyuan ancient tree when it was sucked over, turning into the fruits on the tree. All of a sudden, the tree was full of fruits. Gasp. The sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air could be heard everywhere. This was the first time that the crowd had seen someone else's attack turn into his own profound martial skill. At this moment, Bai Wuxia was even more unfathomable in their eyes. Some of the older generation grandmasters who thought highly of themselves could not help but change their expressions. Ding. The great blades and swords on Lu Xiaoyu and Xiaochua's waist started to vibrate slightly, making a crisp sound. It was because they could not control their own battling intent, causing the great blades and swords to sense it, wanting to get out of their scabbards and attack Bai Wuxia and Xia Houzuan. Bai Wuxia, you are indeed special. Xiaochua's eyes were bright like blades as he stared at Bai Wuxia in the middle of the lake. Although Xia Houzuan was powerful, judging from the situation he was obviously not as powerful as Bai Wuxia. You are qualified to be my next opponent. Lu Xiaoyu let out a breath and said lightly. On top of the hill, Yi Qin and the rest looked extra serious and shocked. Amazing. He can actually use the wood profound to such a level. Yi Qin was also proficient in the wood profound. However, it was clear that Bai Wuxia had left him far behind in this aspect. Seeing that his shooting star finger art had become the fruit on the ancient tree, Xia Houzuan could not help but be a bit absent-minded. He had to admit that Bai Wuxia's power was even more powerful than he had expected. If he wanted to win, he might have to pay a huge price. Great Meteor Finger. Being in the ancient tree, Bai Wuxia waved his hand, and that falling star finger power shot out, attacking Xia Houzuan back. The scariest thing was that the shooting star finger that Bai Wuxia had performed seemed to be even more powerful and faster than Xia Houzuan's, as if it had been enhanced in every aspect. An eye for an eye. Bai Wuxia's strength shocked everyone. Ah! Xia Houzuan was so angry that he started laughing. Bai Wuxia's attack was like a heavy slap on his face, which had pushed his anger to an unprecedented level. Bai Wuxia, you are indeed very powerful. But it is still not enough. His finger drew a circle around his body, 2 circles, 3 circles. A whole 3 layers of defense appeared, making Xia Houzuan feel like he was in another world. His connection with this world had been reduced to the minimum. That endless finger power shot out, shattering the first layer of defense. The second layer, and the third layer of defense only lasted for a second before shattering as well. However, the rest of the finger power could no longer threaten Xia Houzuan anymore. Let's see how you absorb it this time. Comet Finger. With a roar, Xia Houzuan pushed up his Zhen Yuan and pointed out his finger. Without a sound, the sky darkened for dozens of miles. In that pitch-black environment, a massive comet sliced through the sky, bringing with it a destructive aura as it attacked toward that crystal ancient tree and Bai Wuxia who was in it. One alone. Bai Wuxia looked as calm as ever as he formed a spell with both of his hands. The branches of the ancient tree shrunk back quickly, merging back into the main trunk. Only one branch was left outside, but it did not shrink back at all. Instead, it started to grow at an unimaginable speed, eventually reaching beyond the main trunk. It flew toward that incoming comet finger power and clashed together. The sky above the Nine-Dragon Lake had turned into a death zone. That intense light that was like a star exploding had forced everyone to close their eyes. If they did not close their eyes, they might even go blind. Obviously, no one would want to risk it for nothing since it was not their battle after all. Boom. After the intense light, a loud sound was heard. A lot of people's faces turned pale, and their chests felt heavy, since they were dozens of miles away from the battle site. Bai Wuxia, take another one of my comet finger attacks. In that intense light, color had already lost its meaning. A barely visible shadow moved at an extremely fast speed, approaching Bai Wuxia. Then the sky darkened again and the intense light was weakened. A finger power that looked like a real comet cracked open a mark in the light, shooting toward Bai Wuxia who was in front of it. Xia Houzuan, take out your most powerful ace attack and void-shattering finger attack. Bai Wuxia scattered the tattered quintessence ancient tree and took a deep breath. His palm, which was covered in a jade-green light at some point in time, stretched out. Then he clenched his fist in the air. In the next instant, a huge jade-green hand appeared out of nowhere in the dark environment. It grabbed the comet finger energy and squeezed. Boom. This time the explosion was not as loud as before. The comet finger power and the huge green hand had been destroyed into nothingness at the same time, exploding into a pile of energy swirls. As you wish. Xia Houzuan also knew that with only the 2 attacks, he would not be able to do anything to Bai Wuxia. Among the top 5 young warriors, no one was truly number 1. But without a doubt, Bai Wuxia was the one who had hidden the most, and the one who was the most unpredictable. Is it Xia Houzuan's ace attack or the void-shattering finger attack? Yi Chen's breathing sped up a little. His biggest goal this time was to witness Xia Houzuan's void-shattering finger attack. Only by observing it would he be able to learn the space profound faster and bring out the full power of the void-shattering finger attack. Turning void into reality. One finger attack. Xia Houzuan lifted up his right hand and reached out his index finger. In the next second, all of the space power that was everywhere in the world rushed over and gathered around his body. He seemed to be unable to control all of that space power, so a lot of it spread out in all directions like a pattern in the surreal space. Such a rich space power. Yichen closed his eyes and immersed himself in the observation of the space power. He felt like a fish swimming in the space power, continuously absorbing the nutrients and strengthening his body. As he continued to learn the space profound, Yen Feng Feng Murong Qingqing, and the rest had also noticed the change in Yichen. Chapter 6:14. Bai Wuxia looked a bit more serious. The space profound was one of the most powerful profounds just below the time profound. When two profounds of the same level collided, the winner would definitely be the space profound. There was no doubt about it at all. In order to compete with the space profound, one would have to have the same level of profound. If one did not have the same level of profound, then one would have to be way more powerful in terms of movement. Lose? Xia Hozuan's eyes shone brightly as he pointed out his finger at Bai Wuxia, who was 1,000 meters away. As he pointed out his finger, that rich space power was added to his finger power, shooting out through the air. Eventually, it formed into a huge golden finger that looked like a tower, pressing toward Bai Wuxia. Can't dodge it. Bai Wuxia had thought about dodging, but the space power was the most mysterious one. It had the horrifying effect of shortening the distance. Even though it looked like 1,000 meters, it could actually be shortened by 2 times or even 3 times. Since I can't dodge it, then I guess I won't. Shield of Life. Endless Defense. Bai Wuxia had already started to form the spell when Chu Zhongtian performed his void-shattering finger attack. After making up his mind, he pushed his spell speed to its limit. His hand shadow could no longer be seen anymore, only a blurry green light ball. Behind his back, countless thick Zhenyuan vines reached out. Judging from their shape, they looked very ancient, having a similar aura to the Zhenyuan ancient tree. Under the contrast of countless Zhenyuan vines, Bai Wuxia looked like a super huge spider. An air-piercing sound was heard as all of those Zhenyuan vines reached out in front of Bai Wuxia, forming a green shield that looked like it was made out of vines. It stood firmly in front of him, connecting with the rest of the vines. In the next second, the golden finger landed on the green shield, bringing up a loud sound. The shield has been broken through. Everyone could see that there was a huge hole in the green shield, and it looked like it was about to go through. Oh, the shield is repairing at an insane speed. The pupils of the people with sharp eyes shrunk as they saw something that shocked them. The golden finger was invincible, and it could devour the energy on the shield to strengthen itself. However, the green shield did not collapse with a single strike. The countless green vines were like its nutrient conduits, providing it with sufficient nutrients. Even if the golden finger devoured a portion of the green vines, it would not be a big deal. It is the life power. I did not expect Bai Wuxia to have learned the profound of life. Someone exclaimed. It was a chain that connected the past, the present, and the future. Below it was the space profound. To a certain extent, the space profound was not inferior to the time profound. Below the space profound there were many more powerful profounds such as the Yin profound, the Yang profound, the life profound, and the death profound. Once the Yin profound and the Yang profound were combined, the life profound and the death profound would become a profound that was equal to the space profound. However, because these two opposing profounds needed to be combined, it was not as good as the space profound. Therefore it was not as famous as the space profound. Although the profound of life was not as powerful as the profound of space, Bai Wuxia's understanding of it had obviously surpassed Xia Hozuan's understanding of the profound of space. That endless life power poured into the green shield, canceling out the attack of the golden finger. He has actually learned the profound of life. Xia Hozuan was shocked, so he threw out another void-shattering finger attack at Bai Wuxia, wanting to beat him with one attack. Bai Wuxia reached out both of his hands, the green shield seeming to be indestructible. After the activation of the profound of life, the endless life power was generated, canceling out the golden finger attack once again. Xia Hozuan's void-shattering finger has been blocked out. Bai Wuxia is indeed powerful. I wonder if Xia Hozuan will still use his void-shattering finger attack. I don't think so. The more powerful the profound, the more Zhenyuan it will need. If he keeps this up, then Xia Hozuan's Zhenyuan will be drained even faster than Bai Wuxia's. You're right. Hearing everyone's discussion, Xia Beiding thought to himself, his profound of life should have been learned from the profound of wood. Among the 5 elements, the profound of wood and the profound of water both contain the profound of life, and the profound of earth contains a bit of it as well. Training the profound of wood to the highest level would indeed allow one to learn the profound of life. But the condition would be that the warrior's own comprehensive ability would be very high. All the power Upanishads in this world were connected, including time and space, because everything was derived from the primal chaos. By Wuxia, you are indeed very powerful, so powerful that even I am impressed. But if you think that I only have this much power, then you are very wrong. Indeed, the void-shattering finger attack is my most powerful profound sense martial art, but it might not be the one that I am best at. My best profound sense martial art would be the star nuclear finger that I have created myself. Take this. Xia Hozuan did not perform his void-shattering finger attack anymore. His body flashed once as he approached Bai Wuxia at an extreme speed. That green shield could only block in front of him and not in all directions. Xia Hozuan arrived at Bai Wuxia's side and threw out a finger attack. Pop. Where Bai Wuxia was standing, all of the air, yuan qi, and even the lake water were all pulled towards Xia Hozuan, eventually being compressed into a light ball. Bai Wuxia, who was in the same space, could not help but be pulled over as well. That invisible pressure was pressing on him. This is the star nuclear gravity. Bai Wuxia frowned. Indeed. This is the martial art that I have learned from the Starlight Profound. Judging on attacking power, it is not as powerful as the void-shattering finger attack. But the things that the void-shattering finger attack cannot do, it can do. For example, beating you. Xia Hozuan was very confident, but it was not something that he was born with, it was something that came from his power. Indeed, this attack is very powerful. Bai Wuxia let go of his shield of life and pushed his Zhen Yuan, trying his best to cancel out the star nuclear gravity that Xia Hozuan had released. He did not doubt that once the star nuclear gravity landed on his body, it would shatter all of his internal organs and wound him severely. Therefore it was very important to control the distance. Qi wave 100 sky. Bai Wuxia threw out a palm attack towards Xia Hozuan. Qi poured out, but out of his expectation he could not perform the martial art that he had trained in the past. Once he let out his Zhen Yuan, it would be dragged out and he would not be able to gather more Zhen Yuan. Ah! My star nuclear finger attack is not only used on your body. Your Zhen Yuan is affected by the star nuclear gravity as well. If my attack is not good, then I am afraid that my defense will not work either. Even my protective Zhen Yuan is starting to move. Bai Wuxia could sense that his protective Zhen Yuan was twisting and looking like it was about to shatter. Xia Hozuan's star nuclear finger attack was way more powerful than he had expected. Since I cannot block out the star nuclear gravity, then I might as well do the opposite. This star nuclear gravity would not be able to break the balance, and it would have its own limit. Facing the danger, Bai Wuxia still did not lose his cool. He took a deep breath, and the Zhen Yuan in his dantian exploded like a flood. It rushed out through his meridians and eventually shot out of his body. That green Zhen Yuan was like a burning flame, expanding crazily. What? Xia Hozuan did not really understand what Bai Wuxia was doing. Lin Chaonan, one of the top 3 blade artists, did not understand either. He asked Xia Baiting, "Brother Xia, what do you think Bai Wuxia is planning?" Xia Baiting saw Bai Wuxia's Zhen Yuan being absorbed by Xia Hozuan's star nuclear finger attack and compressed into a green light ball. As the light ball got bigger and bigger, Xia Hozuan found it harder and harder to control it. Xia Baiting sighed, "Such a powerful battling experience. Even I could not think of a way to break out of it. I did not expect him to have figured it out." He is doing the opposite, burning his own Zhen Yuan to cancel out Xia Hozuan's star nuclear finger attack, because the star nuclear gravity has its own limit. Once it goes beyond that limit, the star nuclear finger attack would lose its effect. After Xia Baiting's reminder, Lin Chaonan had understood it immediately. He could not help but be shocked. Obviously, Xia Hozuan had also understood what Bai Wuxia was doing. He said with a bad look on his face, "Do you think this will work? Before you had performed the flower replace tree attack. Now you should taste the feast that I have prepared for you." The star nuclear finger attack was not an active attack, but of course, it was not a passive attack either. It was something that was in between. Explode. Xia Hozuan was acting very strangely. His body flashed once before backing out at an extreme speed, getting away from where Bai Wuxia was. Shield of life. Bai Wuxia's expression changed as he hurried to reach out his right hand. Dozens of Zhen Yuan vines grew out of his arm, forming a small green shield. In the next second, the Zhen Yuan ball that had been compressed into a bright green light ball exploded. It was Bai Wuxia's Zhen Yuan, which was basically giving Bai Wuxia a taste of his own medicine. Boom. The green shield was shattered, and Bai Wuxia was blown backward. Midway, he suddenly sunk down, both of his hands pressing on the surface of the Nine-Dragon Lake. Spear of Life. Swoosh. At the bottom of the lake, countless Zhenyuan vines formed into a long spear that broke through the water. It was right below Xiaohozuan, landing right on his protective Zhenyuan layer. His protective Zhenyuan was shattered, and Xiaohozuan puked out a huge amount of blood. He had been badly wounded. After throwing out that attack, Bai Wuxia himself had been wounded quite badly as well. Sticky blood poured out of his mouth, dyeing the lake water under his feet red. Bai Wuxia won? Everyone was not too sure, so they looked at each other. On top of the hill, Yan Fengfeng and Hai Wuya did not know who had won either. On the surface, it seemed like Bai Wuxia had wounded Xiaohozuan with one attack, so he had won. But Bai Wuxia himself had been wounded badly as well. If Xiaohozuan still had the power to fight, then it would be a tie. Right then, an intense space vibration appeared around Yi Qin, who was right next to Murong Qingqing. It was getting more and more powerful, forcing Murong Qingqing to move away from Yi Qin for a while. Void Shattering Finger 60%. 70%. In a short time, Yi Qin had trained his space profound to an extremely high level. It was mainly because he had been stuck at 50% of his Void Shattering Finger before, and could not make a breakthrough. Actually, he had accumulated a lot, and as long as he broke through the bottleneck, he would be able to keep improving his space profound. It was like a scholar who had been troubled by a difficult problem. Once he solved it, a lot of problems would be solved and he would be able to reach a higher level in a short time. Chapter 6:15. Indeed, the Space Power Upanishad is 10 times more complicated than I had imagined. If the Void Shattering Finger art could only simulate the power of space at 50%, then after 50%, it would be able to absorb the power of space, which was everywhere. However, Yi Qin could feel that even with 70% of the Void Shattering Finger art, it would still only be able to make use of the space profound. In the end, it would only be using the power of space and would never be able to enter the palace of space. It was just like having a house. You could only use the materials of the house, but it did not mean that you understood the structure of the house. There would be a huge gap between the two, which was the difference between a layman and an expert. Even though he had comprehended the Void Shattering Finger to 70%, he was still an amateur. It was not hard to imagine how powerful and difficult it was to comprehend the profound of space. Xiaohozuan's Void Shattering Finger should be around 80%, definitely not more than 90%. Right now, I am still not able to compete with him. But of course there is still a gap. But for now, the power of my gold pattern is not weaker than the 70% Void Shattering Finger. Combined with the Destruction Sword Intent, it is even more powerful than the 80% Void Shattering Finger. When the Void Shattering Finger was trained to 50%, the Gold Resonant Radiance at 130% had already surpassed the Void Shattering Finger. Then the Gold Resonant Radiance had reached 130%, and its power had increased drastically. Even if it could not reach 60%, it would not be much weaker than the Void Shattering Finger. Once Yi Qin had figured out his new sword movement, the gold pattern, it had become his most powerful ace attack. In terms of power, the gold pattern was twice as powerful as his 130% gold resonant radiant sword art. Combined with the destruction sword intent, the 80% power of his Void Shattering Finger art would not be exaggerating at all. Therefore, under the same cultivation level, Yi Qin's most powerful attacking power would not be any weaker than Xiaohozuan's. Of course, the time that was given to Yi Qin was still a bit short. As long as Yi Qin perfected his gold pattern, it would not be impossible for him to compete with the top 5 young warriors with his peak level mid-seas of Soul's Realm cultivation. Therefore, at the end of the day, time was still too short. It was the same for Duguju. Opening his eyes, Yi Qin withdrew from the state of comprehension. Yi Qin, have you comprehended it? Murong Qingqing knew that Yi Qin was cultivating the Void Shattering Finger. Yi Qin nodded. This trip wasn't in vain. Congratulations. Actually, Yan Fengfeng and Hai Wuya had also vaguely known that the finger art Yi Qin had used had something to do with Xiaohozuan's Void Shattering Finger art. They were just not sure about it and did not want to point it out. Looking at Jiulong Lake, Yi Qin asked, "Who won?" Murong Qingqing shook her head and said, "I am not sure. Bai Wuxia and Xiaohozuan were both wounded quite badly, but Bai Wuxia had the upper hand." "Yes, I can tell. In Yi Chen's sight, Bai Wushua's face was extremely pale, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. Meanwhile, Xia Hozuan was looking even worse. The clothes on his chest had been ripped apart, revealing the defensive armor underneath. His face was covered in a layer of gold, and there was blood coming out of all of his orifices. His wounds were obviously more severe than Bai Wushua's. The question was, did Xia Hozuan still have the power to fight? One had to know that at their level, it was possible for them to turn the tables at any time. Cough cough cough. Puking out another couple of mouthfuls of blood, Xia Hozuan's expression changed a couple of times. Eventually he said slowly, "Shield of life, spear of life. I did not expect you to have already studied the profound of life to this level, able to attack and defend." Bai Wushua said indifferently, "Likewise. Your astral core finger nearly defeated me. Yes, I should hold on a little longer." Xia Hozuan was a bit regretful. If he had held on, then Bai Wushua would not have been able to perform that life spear attack with his remaining Zhen Yuan. But it was such a critical situation. Plus, he more or less had the thought of giving Bai Wushua a taste of his own medicine, which had ended up costing him the battle. But he could still vaguely feel that even if he had held on and performed his star nuclear finger attack to drain his opponent's Zhen Yuan, he might not have been able to win. His only mistake was letting down his guard slightly, allowing his opponent to hit him with the spear of life. In a battle between powerful warriors, the slightest mistake could decide the outcome. The conversation between the two was heard by the crowd, and only then did they realize that Bai Wushua had won. But what made them curious was that since Xia Hozuan could still talk normally, he should still have the power to fight. So, why did he not give it his all? But what they did not know was that the reason Xia Hozuan could still talk normally was not because of his wounds. In fact, those few sentences had already made him unable to suppress the hidden wounds in his body anymore. All of his organs were showing signs of being shattered. Bai Wushua's last spear attack was unbelievably powerful, and it was not that much weaker than the void-shattering finger art. It seems like Bai Wushua has won. But Xia Hozuan is not weak either. If they were to fight again, he might not lose. Yes, Xia Hozuan's finger painting art is indeed powerful. Unfortunately, he was a bit careless and did not manage to block out that life spear in time. You cannot blame Xia Hozuan either. In that kind of situation, anyone would have been careless. I can only say that Bai Wushua is too powerful. The onlookers discussed animatedly, their emotions surging. Ah, Bai Wushua, Xia Hozuan. You are indeed powerful enough to be in the top of the ranking. Right then, on a tall mountain not far away from the Nine-Dragon Lake, a bulky elder laughed out loud and said something that shocked everyone. Ranking? What is that? I have never heard of it before. Is there really such a ranking in the dark? That is not possible, right? What kind of ranking is there that we do not even know about? Let's ask him. Hey, what is this ranking? Someone asked. The elder said with a loud voice, I am Gao Changtan, the master of the pavilion. This ranking did not exist before. So, it is normal that you guys do not know about it. Is your pavilion trying to compile a ranking? Gao Changtian scanned around with an excited look on his face as he said slowly, as everyone knows, it is hard to reach the life and death realm. There would only be around 10 in 100 years and no more than 20. Sometimes there would only be 7 or 8. But there are so many Sea of Souls realm warriors in the world. It would not be an exaggeration to say that there are so many of them. But, unless you become a life and death realm warrior, once you die, people will forget about your existence in just a few decades. How sad and cruel would that be? Clearing his throat, Gao Changtian continued to say, although our pavilion has not been around for that long, it still has 800 years of history. In the early days of the pavilion's development, the leader of the building and a lot of the dead masters had talked about compiling the ranking. But the true spirit continent was way too big to imagine. With the power of the pavilion back then, it would be impossible for us to finish it. Even if we did, there would not be a lot of people who would believe and acknowledge it. After 800 years, we have finally reached our peak. We have branches in all the top 10 cities in the world. In each city, we have a large or mid-sized base for collecting information. There are also small bases in the normal towns. Therefore, although the continent is huge, we believe that we can finish the task of compiling the ranking. We swear that we will put all of the top Sea of Souls realm warriors into the ranking. So, after decades or centuries, there will still be people who will remember them and remember their glorious stories. Gasp. Hearing him, everyone gasped, including Xie Beiding, Bai Wushua, and the rest. Putting all of the top Sea of Souls realm warriors into the ranking would be extremely difficult, since there were a lot of them who had been hiding in the dark or had retired from the world. Besides them, since they were going to compile the ranking, there would have to be a ranking, which would be even harder than finding all of the hidden master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. It would be impossible to have a master-level competition and have all of the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors participate in the competition. It would not be realistic at all. Therefore, in order to compile the ranking, one would have to carefully observe some of the top Sea of Souls realm master-level warriors and figure out their specific power levels. It would be a lot of work. Of course, only the pavilion would have the right to compile the ranking, since it was the recognized #1 information organization in the world. How many people are in the ranking? Some of the master-level warriors who thought that they had some power could breathe faster. They could already see the future of the ranking. Without any surprises, once the ranking was released, it would definitely shock the whole world. Being able to be in the ranking would be a symbol of power and fame. Although they were quite famous before, there would always be some people who did not want to admit their power. Gao Changtian said, "The ranking is more about quality than quantity. Therefore there would only be 72 spots in total, and it would be changed once a year. Then we will write a book for the ranking which you can buy in every city. Even if you have never been in the martial world before, even if you are not a warrior, as long as you buy a book, you will know who the top master-level warriors are in the world." Such a big plan. Yi Chen could not help but take a deep breath. He did not expect that the information from the pavilion would be this powerful. He did not think that the pavilion had overestimated itself. Otherwise, they would not have waited until 800 years before starting to compile the master-level warrior ranking, waiting until now. Once the ranking is out, it will also ignite the passion of the master-level warriors. Murong Qingqing said. Yi Chen nodded, "That is for sure. Once the ranking is recognized, it will become the wind vane. If you are not in it, then no one will acknowledge you. Therefore, some of the people who are planning to protect themselves and not accept challenges will not be able to stay quiet like before, unless they do not care about their reputation. After all, you have not fought for dozens of years, so who knows how powerful you really are. The pavilion will not be able to do something that only the gods can do, so they can only try to be fair." Someone suddenly asked, "Master Gao, you just said that Bai Wuxia and Xia Hozuan have the right to be in the top of the ranking. I wonder, according to your information, what rank would they be?" Hearing him, a lot of people had a curious look flashing through their eyes. Chapter 616. Seeing that Gao Changtian also thought highly of Yi Chen, a lot of people looked at him with admiration. But this kind of thing was not going to happen. Yi Chen would only be appreciated if he had the power. The #1 warrior just below the top 5 young warriors was not an easy title. As for Xie Beiding, no one doubted him even more. He had been the #1 blade master in the continent for decades, and his power could only be described as immeasurable. Being in the top 5 of the master-level warrior ranking would be a piece of cake for him. But no one knew who else would be able to make it into the top 5. Time is running out. Duguju quietly tightened his fists. He had never wanted to increase his power as much as he did before. They were all young people, and since they were all young people, they would definitely be young and energetic. How could they be indifferent to fame and fortune? Those who could would have already lost their passion. Taking a deep breath, Duguju looked determined. He looked in the direction where Yi Chen was and said with a loud voice, "Yi Chen, I will challenge you here in 1 year. But of course, if you do not come, I will have nothing to say." Duguju is going to challenge Yi Chen in 1 year. Judging from the current situation, although Duguju and Yi Chen are not as powerful as the top 5 young warriors, they are getting closer. Not many people have been able to do this in the past few years, including Lan Sheqing and Lin Tian, who have the highest chance of becoming the top 5 young warriors. They are still far away from the top 5 young warriors. It seems like Duguju is trying to use the 1-year deadline to pressure himself and force himself to improve even faster. If he could beat Yi Chen, then he would be even more powerful. The battle between the 2 top martial geniuses. It would not be that much weaker than the top 5 young warriors. No, I think it might be even more interesting than the battle between the top 5 young warriors, because a lot of people would like to know how much they would have improved in 1 year. Don't forget that they had only reached the Sea of Souls realm for 1 or 2 years, and they had already improved so much. If they were given another year, even if they were not as powerful as the top 5 young warriors, they would be very close. They might even be able to compete with the top 5 young warriors. Now that you mention it, it's possible. Hearing that Duguju wanted to challenge Yi Chen in a year's time, the crowd's blood that had just calmed down started to boil again. Soon after, countless pairs of eyes looked at Yi Chen to see how he would respond. Yi Chen simply said, "I will come." Duguju couldn't be underestimated. Some people were born to become stronger when encountering strong opponents. The strength of his opponent would only promote his improvement. Yi Chen really wanted to know if Duguju could fight against him. If he could, then his future opponent would most likely be Duguju. Yi Chen agreed. How decisive. Of course. They are both monstrous geniuses. If Yi Chen didn't agree, wouldn't he be afraid of Duguju? He's afraid that Duguju will surpass him. Everyone discussed animatedly. All of a sudden, a person walked out of the crowd. It was indeed one of the previous master-level blade artists, Shen Qianlang. Lin Qiaonan saw Shen Qianlang walk out, so he said to Xia Beiding, "It seems like Brother Shen could not wait anymore. This time's master-level warrior ranking will be a great opportunity." Xia Beiding said, "All right. Compared to Bai Wuxia and Xia Hozuan, I would like to know how powerful Xiao Chuha is." Just as Xia Beiding finished his sentence, Shen Qianlang flew to the center of the lake and said with a loud voice, "Xiao Chuha, let's use this opportunity to battle it out." 2 years ago he had lost to Xiao Chuha and lost the title of being one of the top 3 master-level blade artists, while Xiao Chuha had become the youngest master-level blade artist. Today he was not only going to take back the title that he once had, but also prove to the world that he, Shen Qianlang, would not fall just like this. Even if his opponent was one of the top 5 young warriors, so what? Xiao Chuha walked out step by step. "All right, my blade intent is at its peak. Since you have come out to challenge me, I will give you a chance." The battle between Bai Wuxia and Xia Hozuan had already ignited Xiao Chuha's battle intent and blade intent. Shen Qianlang's challenge was exactly what he wanted. "Chem? These two want to battle as well?" Gao Changtian was interested. He knew that the top 5 young warriors were all important targets. "Let's do it." Xiao Chuha stood on top of the lake, holding the blade scabbard in his left hand. "Oh, oh, oh." Shen Qianlang slowly breathed in and out, adjusting his breathing. Xiao Chuha was definitely the fastest blade artist he had ever seen. He did not have the confidence to win, but he thought that if he did not challenge him now, he would not have the chance in the future. Therefore he had to fight. Wait. Combined with the breathing technique, Shen Qianlang adjusted his mental state to its peak. His excitement was accompanied by calmness, and his calmness contained a destructive explosive power. He was like a boundless ocean, each wave taller than the last, instilling fear in people's hearts. Chen. Taking out his blade, the lake water under Shen Qianlang's feet suddenly expanded, turning into a huge wave that carried him toward Xiao Chuha, who was not far away. Soon, a blade light shone, and the entire 9-dragon lake turned violent, increasing the pressure on Xiao Chuha. Break. The lake water under Xiao Chuha's feet did not change at all. He groaned and took out his long blade as well. Holding it with both of his hands, he threw out a blade attack. Swoosh. The huge wave was sliced open, and Shen Qianlang's blade light was shattered. Dang, dang, dang. Both of them were top blade artists. Although the battle scene was not as amazing as by Wuxia and Xia Hozuan's, each blade attack was deadly, giving people a very thrilling feeling. Shen Qianlang was indeed one of the top 3 blade artists. His blade aura was so powerful that it was almost unimaginable. Each blade attack was like a huge wave in the ocean. After throwing out dozens of blade attacks in a row, the sky had changed color and the waves were endless. If normal blade artists were to battle with him, they would be completely suppressed in terms of aura alone, because Shen Qianlang, who was using all of his power, gave people the feeling that he was an ocean that was unpredictable. If Shen Qianlang was the ocean, then Xiao Chuha would be a blade artist training in the ocean. The blade in his hand was not that fast, but it was not that amazing either. But, with one blade attack, any incoming wave would be sliced in half without any hesitation, condensing the blade power without letting it out. Such a horrifying blade artist. Gradually Yi Chen could feel how horrifying Xiao Chuha was. If Bai Wuxia was like the clouds and Xia Hozuan was like the thunder, then Xiao Chuha was like the earth, carrying everything in its way. It was extremely heavy, and if one wanted to beat a blade artist like this, they would have to be way more powerful than him. Otherwise there would be no way to beat him in one go. Ride the wind and wave. Shen Qianlang knew that it would not be good for him if it continued. So, he carried the wind and wave as his whole body shot into the air and threw out a blade attack. This blade attack was thrown out with the momentum, and it was Shen Qianlang's most powerful blade attack. Ocean-splitting blade. Xiao Chuha was still standing in the area where he was standing. Facing Shin Qianlong's most powerful blade attack, he did not back out or try to avoid it. He threw out one blade attack after another as if it were nothing more than waves. As long as it was a wave, there would be nothing that he could not cut in half. Swoosh! Shin Qianlong's most powerful blade attack disappeared completely. On the surface of the Nine-Dragon Lake, a blade mark that extended all the way to the edge appeared. The blade mark was like a natural moat, instantly splitting the surface of the lake in half. Puking out a mouthful of blood, Shin Qianlang was blown backward as a blade mark appeared on his chest. Although he had the protection of his armor so that blade attack did not land on his body directly, the extremely dense blade power had already gone through the armor and wounded his internal organs. He did not feel that much pain but instead a relief. Because from now on he would not have to challenge Xiao Chuha anymore, and he would not have to carry the pressure of losing to him anymore. What a powerful ocean-splitting blade attack. Shin Qianlang did not even have a chance to fight back. Xie Baiting shook his head. This battle was not that exciting and it was not even that intense. If one had to talk about intense battles, then Shin Qianlang would be the most intense. Unfortunately, his opponent was Xiao Chuha, who was like an endless land. Shin Qianlong's blade art seemed to be very aggressive, but it would not be able to cover the whole land all of a sudden. From the beginning to the end, Shin Qianlang did not even have a chance to fight back. He was forced into Xiao Chuha's rhythm. Seeing this kind of battle, even Xie Baiting could not help but feel a chill run down his spine. He thought that if they were at the same power level he would only have 30 to 40% chance of beating Xiao Chuha. Ocean-splitting blade Xiao Chuha. Impressive. Since Gao Changtian was able to become a master of the pavilion, he had been able to observe the power of all the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors in the world. So he was naturally not weak himself. As a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior himself, he could tell that Shin Qianlang was very powerful. Although he might not be able to make it into the top 20, he would definitely be able to make it into the top 25. If it were someone else, then the battle would be even more intense. But his opponent was Xiao Chuha, and there was not even a single chance for him to fight back. Xiao Chuha, you can also make it into the top 15 of the master-level warrior ranking. Gao Changtian announced. Everyone did not have any doubts about what Gao Changtian had announced, so they started to discuss quietly. This battle is so normal, but why am I having goosebumps all over my body? Me too. Don't you guys feel it? Shin Qianlang is like a bug in a spider's web. No matter how hard he tries to struggle, he will still end up in the spider's mouth. Someone expressed the most appropriate opinion. After beating Shin Qianlang, Xiao Chuha's expression did not change at all as he turned to look at Lu Xiaoyu, who had a cold expression on his face. Lu Xiaoyu, in 1 year I will challenge you. Sure. Lu Xiaoyu said lightly. Another battle in 1 year. Everyone got excited. Adding Duguju and Yi Qin, there would be 2 intense battles in 1 year. So, no matter what, they would have to come and watch the battles in 1 year. After the battle between Shin Qianlang and Xiao Chuha had ended, the Nine-Dragon Lake quieted down. Let's go. Yi Qin knew that there would not be any more battles, and even if there were, it would only be some small warriors. More and more people started to leave the place. Just like that, the Nine-Dragon Lake, which had been quite lively for the past couple of days, had finally come to an end. But although it had ended, everything that had happened in the past couple of days would definitely be spread around the Sky Martial region for a long time, becoming the topic of everyone's gossip. Regarding the master-level warrior ranking, it would naturally be spread around the world through everyone's mouths, bringing up a huge storm. Chapter 617. The clouds in the sky rolled back and forth, and a flying puppet shaped like a demonic bird spread its wings and flew away, galloping above the boundless sea of clouds. The puppet's back was wide and flat, enough to hold 6 or 7 people. Of course, there were only Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing on it at the moment. Yi Qin's arms were wrapped around Murong Qingqing, her sweet body fragrance filling his breath. The two had already become intimate in the mysterious dark city. Apart from the matter between a man and a woman, they had done everything. At this moment, Murong Qingqing's face was not covered by a black veil, presenting her beautiful face in front of Yi Qin's eyes. Her eyebrows were like jade feathers and her skin was like sheep fat. Her nose was high and her eyes were like stars. Her lips were even redder than normal people, and her silky black hair flowed down from her ears. A few strands floated at the tip of Yi Qin's nose, filling his nose with a fragrance. Seeing Yi Qin staring at her, Murong Qingqing's cheeks blushed a little. Drunk on a beauty's lap, awake with a killing sword. Feeling the soft and graceful body in his arms, a phrase naturally appeared in Yi Qin's mind. Screech. While the two were being intimate, a four-clawed demonic bird suddenly pounced over. This demonic bird was several times bigger than Yi Qin's flying puppet. Its eyes were like two searchlights, and its whole body was shrouded in a scarlet red and black aura, looking extremely ferocious. The four-clawed demonic bird was fond of flesh and blood, especially those with powerful bodies. Yi Qin had already cultivated a third-step spirit body, so his body strength was needless to say. On the other hand, Murong Qingqing's demonic body was even higher than Yi Qin's in terms of life force, which made the four-clawed demonic bird's heart itch. Seeing that neither Yi Qin nor Murong Qingqing had reached Late Sea of Soul Realm, the four-clawed demonic bird screeched again and pounced toward the two, its four claws tearing the sky apart. Clang. Holding Murong Qingqing in his left hand, Yi Qin pulled out his gold sword and slashed. Puchi. A huge bird head flew up. The corpse of the four-clawed demon bird was decapitated, falling far behind the flying puppets and falling into the sea of clouds. Four-clawed demonic birds usually live in the northern regions, with the desolate fire domain being the most common. It seems like we're about to reach the desolate fire domain, Murong Qingqing said. After leaving Nine Dragon Lake, the two of them did not stop to rest. They headed straight for the northern wastelands fire region. After all, the time limit for the shadowless poison to flare up was getting closer. Sheathing the gold sword, Yi Qin released his soul force and extended it towards the sea of clouds. He then said, "We have reached the Iron Feather River." The desolate fire region was right in front of the Iron Feather River. On the banks of the Iron Feather River, a black-robed man and a rainbow-robed old man stood on a reef. Wah! The headless bird's corpse fell into the Iron Feather River and splashed water everywhere. Killing my four-clawed bird with one sword strike. This is not something an ordinary person can do. The rainbow-robed old man did not have a demonic beast body, but his pupils were vertical, flickering with a strange five-colored radiance. The black-robed man said gloomily, "This kid is improving extremely fast. If he is given some time, I'm afraid no one under life and death realm will be able to keep him in check. If we want to obtain the undying body secret art, this is our only chance. If we miss this chance, we can forget about it. Perhaps we can sell the information to someone else." The black-robed man was Demon Master. Yi Qin's name had spread throughout the Sky Martial region, becoming the number one under the top 5 young tycoons. Demon Master had naturally heard of him. Therefore, on the day of the battle between Bai Wuxia and Xiaohozuan, he had gone as well. As he had expected, Yi Qin was indeed there. However, Yi Qin's strength had astonished him. Although Demon Master believed that he was not inferior to Lin Tian and Lan Xieqing, he did not have the confidence to contend against Yi Qin. Left with no other choice, Demon Master decided not to keep this to himself, so he contacted his old friend, Sky Hunter Master. Sky Hunter Master's strength was even higher than Demon Master's. He had cultivated a powerful secret art that only demonic beasts could cultivate, causing the Zhen Yuan in his body to have a demonic aura. He was innately close to demonic beasts, and taming them was even easier than Thunder Region's beast controlling school. The four-clawed demonic bird that had just died was only a relatively weak 10th grade demonic beast in his beast token. It was not enough to make him feel bad. High in the air, I can't bring out my advantage to the limit. Let him live a little longer. The rainbow-robed old man indifferently said. Desolate Fire Region was in the western part of Northern Region. There were many mountain ranges in the west, and Barbaric Mountain Range traversed 3 great regions. It was the largest mountain range in Northern Region. Even on True Spirit Continent, it would be one of the best. Arriving at the edge of Barbaric Mountain Range, Yi Qin took out the map Hua Yingmei had given him and carefully compared it. Pointing northwest, he said, "It should be there." Barbaric Mountain Range was too big. Without a map, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. It would be hard to find the whereabouts of the Phoenix Plume Tree. Of course, even with a map, they might not be able to find it. It was all a matter of luck. Murong Qingqing said, "There are dozens of large and small barbarian tribes in Barbaric Mountain Range. Small tribes only have tens of thousands of people, while big tribes have millions of people. If it's really not possible, perhaps we can trade with the barbarian tribes. They have lived here for countless years, so perhaps they have the Phoenix Plume Tree." Yi Qin nodded. "If we have no other choice, we can only deal with them. But the barbarian tribes have a bad temper, so it might be a bit rough. Barbarian race was a branch of the human race, but they did not recognize themselves as humans. Therefore, some of them were not very friendly toward humans. Swish. The flying puppet flew toward the northwest of Barbaric Mountain Range. After several days, Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing arrived at the depths of Barbaric Mountain Range. As far as the eye could see, the continuous mountain peaks rose and fell, emitting a faint savage aura. Let's go down. This was the place where the former valley master of the Flowing Spring Valley had found the phoenix plume tree. However, a map was a map after all, and the error could be as high as tens of thousands of miles. The place where the two landed was a low, desolate, and broken mountain peak. It seemed that some powerful life had once fought here. Releasing his soul power, Yi Qin could sense everything within a range of 500 miles. There was nothing strange. Changing to another place, Yi Qin continued to search. And so on. After 5 times, Yi Qin made a slight sound of surprise. What's wrong? Murong Qingqing asked. Yi Qin said, there is a valley 300 miles away. The savage aura inside is very dense, and there is also a thick fog that can weaken soul power. Soul power cannot be used to search thoroughly. Let's get closer. The range of Murong Qingqing's soul power was not as wide as Yi Qin's. Just like normal Sea of Souls realm warriors, it was also 100 miles. However, Murong Qingqing had her demon eyes. If they were close enough, she could see through all the obstacles and see the situation inside the valley. After flying for nearly 300 miles, the two could see the valley hidden in the thick fog with their naked eyes. The outline of the valley was faintly discernible. Open. Circulating her demon power to her eyes, Murong Qingqing's pupils opened up, revealing a golden vertical eye. The vertical eye shone with an invisible light as it looked toward the valley. On the side, Yi Qin thought to himself, demons are indeed a higher race than humans. This demon eye is something that every Sea of Souls realm demon dwellers have, so it is not that rare. However, it is rare for a human to have it. In order to defeat the demons, I wonder how many human warriors had died. After a long while, Murong Qingqing closed her demon eye. There is a 10th grade black-winged leopard inside. It has already discovered us and is rushing over. There are also many other leopard-type demonic beasts. Inside the valley, there is an area with an extremely dense spiritual light. Even my demon eye can't see through it. It should be the spiritual qi emitted by spiritual grasses. Although the demon eye was powerful, it couldn't see through the dense energy. Soul power didn't have this weakness, but there were many things that could restrict or weaken soul power. Both had their own merits and shortcomings. Then let's wait, Yi Qin said. Brr. The dense fog at the entrance of the valley dispersed, and numerous air-piercing sounds resounded, accompanied by deep beast roars. Who has come to my Black Wind Valley? As the air-piercing sounds dissipated, a group of leopard-type demonic beasts appeared before Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing. The one in the lead was precisely the 10th grade Overlord Black Wind Leopard. However, this Black Wind Leopard had already transformed halfway. It was walking on 2 legs and had a malevolent leopard head. Yi Qin's expression didn't change as he said, I want to make a deal with you. Deal? What deal? The Black Wind Leopard sized up Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing, especially Murong Qingqing. Yi Qin's expression turned cold as he said, we need a phoenix plume fruit. If you have it, I can pay double the amount of spiritual stones. Double the amount of spiritual stones for the phoenix plume fruit? The Black Wind Leopard chuckled, that's not low. How much is your so-called double the amount of spiritual stones? 1 phoenix plume fruit is worth 30,000 high-grade spiritual stones. I'll pay 60,000. 60,000 is too little. The Black Wind Leopard shook his head. Murong Qingqing frowned, you have it? Of course I do. However, I'm not satisfied with your price. How about this, 100,000 high-grade spiritual stones and this woman? I'll give you the phoenix plume fruit in a month. The Black Wind Leopard's eyes flashed with a mocking light. Yi Qin sneered, I'm afraid you don't have it. He could tell that the other party was looking for trouble. Brat, you're an eyesore. I'll give you a choice. Scram immediately. Otherwise you won't be able to return. The Black Wind Leopard naturally didn't have the phoenix plume fruit. After it cultivated to a half-human form, its sense of beauty had started to move closer to that of a human. Murong Qingqing was undoubtedly in line with it. I'll also give you a choice. Tell me about the phoenix plume fruit or the phoenix plume tree. Otherwise die. It was impossible to reason with such a ferocious demonic beast. Thus he could only be more domineering. You're courting death. You actually dare to speak to my leader in such a manner. The group of 9th and 10th level leopard demonic beasts behind the black-winged leopard roared and attacked. Boundless demonic power turned into a gorgeous light beam that blasted towards Yi Chen. Break. Yi Chen didn't retreat. He pointed with his finger. Pop. A stone pillar-like cyan finger pierced through the air. Not only did it destroy the demonic power, it even shot towards the black-winged leopard. The black-winged leopard was an overlord of 10th level demonic beasts. It was extremely powerful. Ordinary 10th level demonic beasts weren't even enough to fill the gaps between its teeth. This was also the reason why it dared to look down on Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing. It waved its claw that had yet to transform, and the cyan finger was immediately torn to pieces. Soul extinguishing wave. Murong Qingqing's attack followed. An invisible soul attack struck the black-winged leopard's soul sea. It caused him to feel slightly dizzy. However, it was only dizziness. After all, demonic beast will was different from human will. Moreover, Murong Qingqing's comprehension of the soul-extinguishing wave had not reached perfection. Chapter 6:18. Woman, you've angered me. Among the land beasts, leopards were the fastest. As a Class 10 overlord demonic beast, the black-winged leopard's speed was naturally its forte. There were very few demonic beasts of the same level that could surpass it. It stomped on the ground with its legs, and its enormous and nimble body turned into a series of afterimages as it shot toward Murong Qingqing, intending to capture her. Whoosh! The black bat wings on her back unfurled. Murong Qingqing instantly left her original spot and soared into the sky. Ah, you actually have wings as a human? The black-winged leopard raised its head and looked at Murong Qingqing in astonishment. It was certain that her wings were not formed from energy. They truly existed. Void-shattering finger. Earlier, Yi Chen had only used 70 to 80% of his strength. Furthermore, it had been greatly weakened by the demonic energy of the other leopard-type demonic beasts. This time he had used the full power of the void-shattering finger. With a single point of his finger, the omnipresent power of space was sucked over. This caused the cyan finger, which was the size of a stone pillar, to emit a faint cyan glow as it shot toward the black-winged leopard. Not good. The black-winged leopard's hair stood on end. The barbaric mountain range spanned tens of millions of li. As a Class 10 overlord demonic beast, its territory spanned tens of thousands of li. In the barbaric mountain range, other than the barbarian tribes, it had no natural enemies. Although some of the other Class 10 overlord demonic beasts were stronger than it, they were not as fast as it. Therefore it was not afraid of them. However, Yi Chen's finger made it feel a great threat. It knew that it would not be able to dodge this finger with its speed. The black-winged leopard crossed its arms and a black whirlwind of demonic energy gathered in front of it. The whirlwind of demonic energy condensed into an octagonal shield to protect it. Boom. After that, the cyan finger smashed into the octagonal shield fiercely. Shockwaves and shockwaves soared into the sky. The black-winged leopard's feet rubbed against the ground as it retreated several thousand meters. In the end, it smashed into a small mountain, causing rubble to fly everywhere. Brr. A large amount of blood flowed out from the corner of the black-winged leopard's mouth. It was true that it was a 10th grade overlord demonic beast, but it specialized in speed. In terms of defense, it was much inferior to other 10th grade overlord demonic beasts. Of course, its defense was already very powerful, many times stronger than ordinary 10th grade overlord demonic beasts. Unfortunately, Yi Chen's void-shattering finger was one of the top offensive martial arts. Thus, how could it remain unscathed? How dare you injure me? You're dead. I'll eat you until not even your bones are left. The black-winged leopard believed that it had been caught off guard and had not been able to use its speed advantage, so its first reaction was not fear but anger. Right now, it wanted to go all out to kill this hateful human and take away his woman. Rolling on the ground, the black-winged leopard returned to its original form from its half-human form. Surprisingly, it was an enormous black leopard. There were even gray patterns on its black fur. Exerting strength from its four limbs, it suddenly rushed toward Yi Chen. Its speed was so fast that it resembled a black ray of light. So fast it's even faster than the experts of the cyanide white wolf family. While the black-winged leopard was fast, the speed at which Yi Chen drew his sword was not slow either. Sword light blossomed as Yi Chen blocked the black-winged leopard's first attack. Dazzling sparks appeared before him. Flying assassination slash. At the same time as the black-winged leopard attacked Yi Chen, Murong Qingqing did not remain idle. With a flap of the black bat wings on her back, space began to distort. With a schwa sound she disappeared. The next moment she appeared in the sky above the black-winged leopard and sent a palm chop at it. Puchi. In terms of straight-line speed, the black-winged leopard was not inferior to Murong Qingqing. However, after colliding head-on with Yi Qin earlier, its body was somewhat stiff. Thus, Murong Qingqing's palm chop landed squarely on its back. Immediately, its fur flew about and a bloody wound appeared. Damn it! The black-winged leopard did not expect that Murong Qingqing could injure it, even if it was only a flesh wound. Raising its 3-meter-long black iron rod-like tail, the black-winged leopard twisted its body and lashed at Murong Qingqing, tearing the sky apart. Schwa. Murong Qingqing's body leaned back and teleported dozens of meters away, dodging the black-winged leopard's tail attack. Yi Qin was not worried about Murong Qingqing. Murong Qingqing was not a burden. Apart from lacking in offensive power, her overall strength was very high. Even if she encountered a young expert like Lin Tian or Lan Xieqing, she could easily escape. It was the same principle as Yan Fengfeng did not need to fear the 5 young tyrants. Gold Ripple. Changing his footwork, Yi Qin slashed the gold sword in his hand. Several golden sword chi spread out like ripples in the water. As for the black-winged leopard, it was like a fish in the water. It forcibly bore the impact of the ripples, and bone-deep sword scars covered its body. Damn it, I've kicked an iron plate. How could the black-winged leopard not understand that it had kicked an iron plate this time? Not to mention that Murong Qingqing's speed was not inferior to its own, and her agility was far above its own. Even Yi Qin would be able to make it suffer a few pots. That high-speed attack just now could even cause a 10th-grade overlord to suffer a bit. However, not only did Yi Qin have the time to draw his sword, he was even able to clash head-on with it. Run! The black-winged leopard's body turned into a black beam and fled. Where do you think you're going? Murong Qingqing seized the opportunity and unleashed another soul-extinguishing wave. The powerful soul ripple battered the black-winged leopard's sea of soul, reducing its speed by a level. With a flicker of sword light, Yi Qin blocked the black-winged leopard's path and said indifferently, "Tell me about the phoenix plume fruit. If you don't, I'll kill you right now." "I don't have any phoenix plume fruit." I was lying. The black-winged leopard groaned inwardly. Murong Qingqing flew to Yi Qin's side and said to the black-winged leopard, "You have lived in the barbaric mountain range for so many years. You should have heard about the phoenix plume fruit." The black-winged leopard rolled its eyes and suddenly said, "I do know where the phoenix plume fruit is. I just don't know if you dare to go there." "Tell me about it first," said Yi Qin. The black-winged leopard said, "There is a myriad hero mountain about 50,000 kilometers northwest of the Black-Wind Valley. It is occupied by a bear demon called Tyrant Bear. Tyrant Bear has 2 brothers, a snake demon and an eagle demon. Tyrant Bear is much stronger than me. Although his brothers aren't as strong as me, they are very difficult to deal with. Once, my subordinates and Tyrant Bear's subordinates encountered each other. Tyrant Bear's subordinates accidentally revealed that they would be given a fruit that is as long as a phoenix's tail during their celebration. Of course, they would only be given a fingernail. If I'm not wrong, that fruit should be the phoenix plume fruit you're looking for, right?" "Really?" Murong Qingqing raised her brows. The black-winged leopard hurriedly nodded, "Absolutely. I believe that you're telling the truth. However, your sins are not small. I'll have to collect some interest." Yi Qin gestured to Murong Qingqing and then flew into the valley. Murong Qingqing followed behind Yi Qin. She knew that Yi Qin was going to the medicine garden in the valley. The valley was very large. There was a depression in the ground that was filled with spiritual plants. Most of them weren't worth much, but there were some that were clearly high-grade spiritual plants. There was also a black spiritual plant at the center of the medicine garden. There were ant-like fruits growing on the spiritual plant. Dense spiritual energy spread out and didn't disperse for a long time. "Black ant grass." Yi Qin's expression changed. Murong Qingqing asked, "Can this replace the king ant grass?" Yi Qin said, "Its effect isn't as powerful as the king ant grass, but it's about the same. Perhaps it can be used to refine the shadowless poison antidote." The antidote required 3 materials: phoenix plume fruit, king ant grass, and skeleton flower. It wasn't a secret that Murong Qingqing's mother was poisoned by the shadowless poison. Moreover, the phoenix plume fruit could only be found in the barbaric mountain range. Through the demonic beast surveillance, Skybird Ancestor and Een Demon Ancestor followed them all the way to the myriad majestic mountain. Sky Bird Ancestor, we've agreed that all their treasures will belong to us. That woman will also be ours. The half-human half-bear figure said. Don't worry. This time they won't be able to escape even if they grow wings. I won't go back on my words. Chapter 619. Sky Hunter Master didn't know the bear demon or the snake demon, but he knew the eagle demon. The eagle demon was a flying demonic beast that liked to fly high. It only stayed in Wanxiong Mountain for half a year. The rest of the time it would wander outside. Once, Sky Hunter Master and the eagle demon encountered each other and fought. The reason was that Sky Hunter Master wanted to subdue the eagle demon, but he didn't succeed in the end. Moreover, during that expedition an old monster over 200 years old appeared. His strength was terrifying, and Sky Hunter Master and the eagle demon joined hands to escape. From then on, the man and the demon became familiar with each other, although they still had their own ulterior motives. They dared to come to our Wanxiong Mountain and behave atrociously. They really don't know how to write the word death. The eagle demon's voice was very sharp, like an eagle's cry. They're here. The snake demon squinted its eyes, looking sinister. Several li away from the main peak, Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing were floating in the sky. Use your demonic eye to see if there is a phoenix plume tree on the main peak. Yi Chen could also see with his soul eye, but it consumed too much soul energy so he didn't need to use it. In any case it was the same with Murong Qingqing's demonic eye. Nodding, Murong Qingqing circulated her demonic power to her eyes. Found it. There is a phoenix plume tree beside the underground river under the main peak. It is about 3 meters tall and there are a lot of phoenix plume fruits on it. Soon, Murong Qingqing found the location of the phoenix plume tree. A happy expression flashed through her face as she said, "We only need 1 phoenix plume fruit. Let's negotiate with them first." A bear demon that was stronger than the black-winged leopard, and 2 snake demon and eagle demon that were weaker than the black-winged leopard. This force couldn't be underestimated. Even Yi Chen had to be careful. Of course, if the negotiation failed, he could only take it by force. He was determined to get the phoenix plume fruit. Whoosh, whoosh. The two flew towards the main peak. There was a huge cave entrance halfway up the main peak. Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing stood outside the cave and shouted, "Is Tyrant Bear inside?" "I am Yi Chen, I have something to discuss with you." "Come in first." A deep and overbearing voice came from the cave. "Come, let's go in." Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing walk into the cave. After a while the two of them arrived at the cave inside the main peak. There were 3 half-human, half-beast figures in the cavern that was like a hall. The one sitting at the head was a huge bear that was 5 to 6 meters tall. It was obvious that he was the tyrant bear that the black-winged leopard had mentioned. On his left and right were a snake demon with a human head and a bird's body, and an eagle demon with a human head and a bird's body. The 3 beasts were all looking at Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing. "What business do you have with me?" Xiongba's huge eyes looked down at Yi Chen. Yi Chen frowned slightly and said, "I heard that there's a phoenix plume tree in the Wanxiong Mountain. I'm here for a phoenix plume fruit. The price is negotiable." "You want the phoenix plume fruit?" Xiongba was not surprised, as if he had been prepared for this. "That's right. Cici, where did you hear that our Wanxiong Mountain has a phoenix plume tree?" The snake demon's eyes were sinister as it stuck out its scarlet tongue. Yi Chen said, "The black-winged leopard." "So it's him." The snake demon's eyes were filled with killing intent. "Gentlemen, 1 phoenix plume fruit shouldn't be a big deal to you. I wonder if you can sell it to us? The price won't make you suffer a loss." Murong Qingqing wore a black veil and said. The eagle demon looked straight at Murong Qingqing. "Why hide your face when you come to my Wanxiong Mountain? Take off your veil and see your true face. Maybe you'll agree." Yi Chen's face darkened. "We're here to buy the phoenix plume fruit. I just want to ask if the 3 of you will agree." "Who do you think you are to interrupt me?" The eagle demon glared at Yi Chen with killing intent. Yi Chen did not look at it but looked at Xiongba, who was sitting in the head seat. Xiongba gulped down a huge jar of wine and said, "We can't give you the phoenix plume fruit. On the contrary, we want your wealth and this woman." Yi Chen smiled instead of getting angry. He squinted his eyes and said with a sharp gaze, "Seems like the 3 of you don't intend to do business with us." "That's right. Whoever has the bigger fist will listen to them. Come to my Wanxiong Mountain. Even a dragon has to coil up and a tiger has to lie down." Xiongba said with disdain. Shifting his gaze, Yi Chen saw the 3 demons and said indifferently, "Do Do you think you can keep us here with just the three of you? What if you add us? A black-robed man and a rainbow-robed old man walked out from the fork. Yi Qin turned around and his pupils constricted. Een demon ancestor. Long time no see. Een demon ancestor had a warm smile on his face. However, this smile didn't give people a warm feeling. Instead, it was filled with killing intent, an undisguised killing intent. Yi Qin said thoughtfully, I didn't expect you to come out. This is really out of my expectation. If I'm not wrong, you've been following me all the way here. What, you still don't want to give up? Give up? Een demon ancestor sneered, what belongs to me I will definitely get it. This time, you won't be able to escape even if you grow wings. Yi Chen's expression didn't change as he said indifferently, if I can make you fall once, I can make you fall a second time. Moreover, it will be the last time. Big words. The rainbow-robed old man's multicolored pupils were extremely strange. Yi Chen. Murong Qingqing was a bit worried. The enemy was too powerful. 3 demonic beasts and 2 powerful master-level characters. Even one of the 5 young tyrants might not be able to win against them. Moreover, Yi Qin was still a bit weaker than the 5 young tyrants. Yi Qin held Murong Qingqing's slender hand. Don't worry. She didn't know why, but Yi Qin's words gave her a sense of security. What? Even at this point you still think you can escape? Een demon ancestor was infuriated by Yi Chen's attitude. Yi Chen moved his finger and shook his head. Escape? I've never thought about it. As long as I kill you, everything will be fine. Arrogant. Not only Een demon ancestor and Skybird ancestor, even the tyrant bear trio were angered. Skybird ancestor, Een demon ancestor, don't talk nonsense with him. Join hands and subdue him and this woman. Eagle demon's voice was sharp as he took the initiative to attack. With a flap of his wings, he shot toward Murong Qingqing with a speed not inferior to the black-winged leopard. His huge claws reached out, wanting to subdue her. Darkness curtain. Murong Qingqing raised a black barrier. Rip. The barrier was torn apart, and Eagle Demon squeezed in with great difficulty. Scram. Yi Chen took out his Thunder Disaster Sword and repelled Eagle Demon. Brat, obediently surrender. Otherwise you'll have a good time. Tyrant Bear and Snake Demon also made their moves. Tyrant Bear's body was huge, and his every movement contained a mountain-shattering power. He took a step forward and slightly clenched his huge bear paw, striking toward Yi Chen. Snake Demon coiled its body and raised its head, spitting out a green light wave. The light wave hissed and carried a dizzying poison chi. Golden Ripple. Facing the 3 demons, Yi Chen was not afraid at all. Using his Thunder Disaster Sword, he sent out Golden Ripple. 7-8 golden sword chi fanned out like ripples in water. Ping 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 ping. Tyrant Bear was the strongest, followed by Eagle Demon and Snake Demon. However, the average strength of the 3 was similar to the Black-Winged Leopard. How could they block Yi Chen's Thunder Disaster Sword's Golden Ripple? All of them retreated one after another. The powerful shockwave radiated in all directions, shaving off a layer of the main peak. Earth is heaven. At this moment, Een Demon Ancestor's Zhen Yuan circulated to the limit and he sent out a palm strike. The palm energy contained the profound of Earth, reversing the universe. The sky was no longer the sky and the Earth was no longer the Earth. It was completely reversed, trying to subvert Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing's sense of direction and make them lose their balance. At the same time, his left palm turned into a blade and slashed out horizontally, using the powerful Een Demon Chop. The gray-black sawtooth blade light was as fast as lightning. Demonic Finger. On the contrary, Eagle Demon and Een Demon Ancestor didn't enter immediately, but they were also in a half-dreamland state. Although the Eagle Demon was fast, no matter how fast it could not match the speed of the sword chi. Its back, tail and left wing were all hit by the sword. Its steel-like feathers and bright red blood splattered all over the sky. It staggered and almost fell from the sky. I'll fight it out with you. With his left wing injured, the Eagle Demon's speed was greatly reduced. He turned around and flapped his right wing. An earth-shattering crescent wind blade slashed towards Yi Chen. Sword steps. Yi Chen was like a zigzagging sword light, shuttling through the densely packed wind blades. Whenever he encountered a gap, he would break it with his sword. Wind fire pellet. Seeing that the wind blades could not do anything to Yi Qin, a hideous expression flashed through his face. He opened his beak and a green-red pearl was spat out. This pearl expanded rapidly in the wind, turning into the size of a house. Its whole body was surrounded by red flames and dark blue wind. The wind and fire stimulated each other, doubling its power. It then attacked towards Yi Qin with lightning speed. What? Inner pellet. Yi Qin was shocked. When demonic beasts were below rank 9, they would all have an inner pellet inside their bodies. It was their foundation, just like a human's dantian, which stored a huge amount of beast power. Demonic beasts below rank 9 would not be able to let their inner pellets fly out to attack. Only a small portion of demonic beasts with this kind of talent would be able to do it. However, unless it was a life-and-death situation, they would not dare to do it because once their inner pellets were destroyed, they would lose at least half of their cultivation, which was extremely dangerous. However, after the demonic beasts reached rank 9, their inner pellets would be refined, turning into a beast power ocean. It was just like when a human reached the Sea of Souls realm, the Zhenyuan core in their dantian would directly turn into a Zhenyuan ocean. Although the two had different names, the principles were similar. He really did not expect that the eagle beast would have a wind and fire dual elemental pellet inside its body. It should be known that attacking with the inner pellet was the most powerful attack of the demonic beasts with this kind of talent. It meant that they were going to risk their lives. It was not hard to imagine that the attacking power would definitely increase by a whole new level. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen's body spun in the air as he waved out dozens of golden sword chi, attacking on the huge inner pellet that was surrounded by wind and fire. This inner pellet was indestructible, and no matter how powerful Yi Chen was, he could not destroy it with one attack. At most he could slow it down a little. The eagle demon's feathered face twitched. The wind-fire core was connected to his soul, and was a part of his body. When the wind-fire core suffered an intense attack, he didn't feel good either. Only after the Sky Thunder Cut had reached 110%, and his Thunder Profound had improved a lot, did he succeed in fusing it. The destructive thunder spread out everywhere. Yi Chen was in the middle of it, attacking at an extreme speed toward the pellet. Now is the time. The Sky Hunter Master saw that the battle between Yi Chen and the Eagle Beast was still going on, so he could not afford to be distracted. So he flew toward the Dream-Eating Wolf. In his opinion, it would be impossible for Yi Chen and the Eagle Beast to win within a second. And with the preparation, he would not be invaded by the Dream-Eating Wolf's dream. Once he wounded the Dream-Eating Wolf badly, he could even use Murong Qingqing to threaten Yi Chen, leaving him no chance to fight back. The wind-fire pellet was a part of the eagle demon's body, so it was easy to control. Its eyes narrowed, and the wind-fire pellet in Yi Chen's hand immediately began to tremble, as if it wanted to grow bigger again. On the surface of the wind-fire pellet, the wind-fire Yao Qi spilled out, burning Yi Chen's palm. Crack. Yi Chen's left hand's 5 fingers were like hooks. No matter how hard the wind-fire pellet shook, it could not grow even a bit bigger. As for the wind-fire Yao Qi, it could not do anything to the Dragon Bone defense either. It could only make the Dragon Bone defense a bit darker. Of course, Yi Chen could not keep fighting with the eagle beast like this. He held the Thunder Disaster Sword in his right hand and threw out a gold pattern attack. The scattered golden sword chi made it impossible for the eagle beast to escape. No. After losing the pellet, the eagle beast only had 2/3 of its cultivation left. Even if its body's power did not decrease, it still could not compete with Yi Chen's sword chi. Blood splashed everywhere as the eagle beast was torn apart by the golden sword chi. The wind-fire pellet that had lost control also quieted down. This eagle beast is indeed powerful. If I did not use my Thunder Devour, it would probably take me more than 100 attacks to kill it. Yi Chen held the pellet and sighed. Beast Binding Thorns. Yi Chen had killed the eagle beast in less than 10 blinks of an eye. During this time, Sky Hunter Master had already broken through Murong Qingqing's defense and performed a sealing martial art. The Dream-Eating Wolf was surrounded by a golden light as a pure golden thorn appeared and wrapped around the Dream-Eating Wolf. That long golden thorn pierced into the Dream-Eating Wolf's body. The Dream-Eating Wolf wanted to struggle, but the more it struggled, the tighter the golden thorns bound it. Moreover, the golden thorns were making it feel extremely painful. Flying Sky Assassination Cut. The black bat wings on her back flapped. Murong Qingqing's body moved unpredictably, turning into dozens of images all of a sudden, attacking toward the Sky Hunter Master from all directions. It was hard to tell which one was real and which one was fake, and which one was real and which one was fake. This woman is so fast. Sky Hunter Master's expression did not change as he patted the beast tag on his waist. Screech. Roar. Several different beast roars sounded. At the same time, a demon bird with a long horn on its head, a crow with black flames all over its body, and a winged dog rushed out from the beast tag and appeared around the Sky Hunter Master. Go. Capture this woman for me. Remember, do not kill her. Although Murong Qingqing was powerful, her speed was a bonus. The 3 beasts that Sky Hunter Master had let out were all rank 10 beasts that specialized in speed. Murong Qingqing saw that Yi Qin had arrived, so she let out a breath of relief. Then, the black bat wings on her back flapped once again, twisting the space pattern into an arc shoe. Under the siege of the 3 beasts, Murong Qingqing's body disappeared without a trace. In front of Sky Hunter Master, a huge black light poured out as a pitch-black finger pointed at his forehead. You are looking for death. Sky Hunter Master formed a claw with his right hand and threw out a claw attack. Boom. The shockwave swept across the sky. Murong Qingqing had blood dripping out from the corner of her mouth as she was blown backward. Although Sky Hunter Master did not back out, he was still frozen where he was. The sword light flashed once, and Yi Qin appeared in front of Sky Hunter Master. You cannot run away now, Yi Qin said coldly. Sky Hunter Master was enraged. Little brat, do you really think that you can stop me by yourself? If I, Sky Hunter Master, want to leave, no one can stop me. Then his body split into 2. 2 identical Sky Hunter Masters appeared. Even their soul auras were the same. It was impossible to tell which one was the real one. The 2 Sky Hunter Masters flew in different directions, one on the left and one on the right. Yi Qin was not affected at all. His body moved and also split into 2 figures. Although these 2 figures did not have the same soul aura, other than the soul aura, it was still impossible to tell which one was the real one. Yi Qin on the left held his gold sword and flew out, stabbing towards one of the Sky Hunter Masters. The extreme speed of the sword made his body look like a phantom in the water. Swoosh. There was no blood. This Sky Hunter Master was fake. The other Yi Qin chased closely behind the real one. His speed was obviously faster. Little brat, you will not have a good ending if you go too far. You should not say that to me. If I manage to escape today, I will pay you back 10 times in the future. Sky Hunter Master's figure split into 2 again. Shadow explosion. This time Yi Qin did not create any clones. He exploded directly and countless black shadows shot out, drowning Sky Hunter Master and his clones within. There was a golden sword chi moving within the black shadows, followed by colorful claw shadows. Knowing that he could not escape, Sky Hunter Master's eyes were filled with hatred. He started to fight with Yi Qin, pushing his power to the extreme. Unfortunately, his power was only slightly higher than that of Yin Demon Master. The reason why Yin Demon Master had asked for him was because he had a lot of beasts. With the help of beasts, Sky Hunter Master's power was way beyond Lin Tian and Lan Xieqing. Although he was not as powerful as the top 5 young warriors, it would not take them only 1 or 2 attacks to kill him. He had sent out 3 of his most powerful beasts to fight against Murong Qingqing, and they would not be able to make it in time. Without a powerful beast, the Sky Hunter Master could only send out some of the weaker beasts to fight against Yi Qin. However, they were all cut in half by Yi Qin's sword attack. Soon, even he himself had lost an arm. The golden sword light shone in the sky as Yi Qin appeared behind Sky Hunter Master while holding the sword with both of his hands. There was a faint blood mark on his neck. As the wind blew, Sky Hunter Master's head flew up into the sky. Blood sprayed out like a fountain. Chapter 622. I will not accept this. The head that had shot up into the sky let out an extremely venomous roar before stopping abruptly. Yi Qin shook his head. If he had known this earlier, he would not have gotten involved in this mess. Putting away the Sky Hunter Master's storage ring, Yi Qin flicked out his finger. An extremely sharp green lotus sword chi shot out, shattering the golden thorns on the dream-eating wolf's body. The dream-eating wolf got out, growling at Yi Qin as the wounds on its body slowly healed. You've done well. There will be a reward for you. Nodding satisfyingly, Yi Chen flew toward Murong Qingqing. Are you all right? Murong Qingqing shook her head. I'm all right, but I let the tyrant bear escape. After being blown away by Murong Qingqing's sky demon finger, the tyrant bear knew that it was not good, so it escaped immediately. On the other hand, Murong Qingqing had to deal with the Sky Hunter Master, so she did not chase after it. Yi Chen said, it's just a demonic beast. It's not a big deal. No matter how powerful the tyrant bear was, it was only a demonic beast. Its intelligence was limited, and it was not as cunning as the Een Demon Master and the Sky Hunter Master. Therefore it would not be much of a threat to Yi Chen. Come, let's go underground. The purpose of this trip was the Phoenix Plume Tree, and Yi Chen would not forget it. Instead of going down through the tunnel, the two men and the wolf directly penetrated the ground and arrived at a depth of more than 6,000 meters below the main peak of Mount Wanxiong. Whoosh! The sound of flowing water came from an underground river of unknown length. The river was more than 100 meters wide. Beside the rocks by the river, there was a 3-meter-tall multicolored tree. Red was the main color of the tree, making it look magnificent and noble. This is the Phoenix Plume Tree? The gazes of the two humans and one wolf were focused on the colorful tree. This tree was different from ordinary trees. Its entire body seemed to be made of red jade, and its surface emitted a multicolored glow. It didn't have many branches, but it was just right. At the joints of some branches there were fruits hanging down. These fruits looked like bananas, but they were flatter than bananas. They were about a foot long, and there were patterns of phoenix tails engraved on the surface. The astonishing spiritual energy fluctuations caused the origin energy here to be much denser. It was a good place to meditate and cultivate. One phoenix plume fruit is equivalent to 1,000 years of maturity. There are 12 phoenix plume fruits here, which means they are at least 12,000 years old. Seeing the phoenix plume tree and the phoenix plume fruit, Murong Qingqing heaved a sigh of relief. Woo woo woo. The dream-eating wolf wagged its tail. Although it was its first time seeing the phoenix plume fruit, the smell it emitted made it feel very comfortable. Yi Chen said, the phoenix plume fruit can strengthen your body and heal any internal injuries. At the same time, it also has the effect of nourishing yin and yang. You still can't take it? He originally wanted to let Murong Qingqing refine some of the dragon blood plants and extract the dragon power inside. It should be known that Murong Qingqing's demon body was much stronger than the spirit body. A rank 2 demon body was even stronger than a rank 3 spirit body, so it could hold more dragon power. Murong Qingqing said, spirit plants and pellets that are useful to human warriors are basically useless to me. Only those medicinal herbs that are close to the demons are useful to me. After knowing that she couldn't refine the dragon blood plants, she understood that she had embarked on a completely different path from human warriors. That's too bad. Yi Chen patted the dream-eating wolf's head and flew to the side of the phoenix plume tree. Up. With a wave of his right hand, an unparalleled power acted on the phoenix plume tree and the surrounding area. Boom. The underground river surged violently, and the phoenix plume tree and the surrounding land were uprooted and floated in the air. However, the phoenix plume fruit on the phoenix plume tree didn't move at all, as if it was embedded in the tree. Bang! Holding a phoenix plume fruit in his left hand, Yi Chen pulled it with all his strength. The powerful force acted on the phoenix plume fruit, and he barely managed to pick it off. At the same time, the sound of steel breaking could be heard. It's too tight. Even with 100,000 pounds of strength, I can barely pick it off. Yi Chen was secretly shocked. Here. Yi Chen threw the phoenix plume fruit to the dream-eating wolf. Whoa. The dream-eating wolf jumped up and bit on the phoenix plume fruit. The wounds on its body had not fully recovered yet, and it needed time to recover. With the phoenix plume fruit, it would not have to worry about that anymore. Plus, the phoenix plume fruit could make its body even stronger, and it could also nourish its chi and blood. So big, I guess it can barely fit in a mid-rank storage ring. I still need a top-rank storage ring. Otherwise, when I have more things in the future, I won't have anywhere to put them. Although a storage ring could be put into a storage ring, a low-rank storage ring had too little space and could not hold too big of a thing. Even if you had 10,000 of them, they would only be able to hold soul stones. If I had a top-rank storage ring, all of these problems would be solved, since the storage space of a top-rank storage ring was 10 times bigger than a mid-rank one. Yi Chen had dozens of mid-rank storage rings, and they were all taken from his enemies. Of course, they were all dead. However, he had never seen a top-rank storage ring before. It seemed that a storage ring with such a huge space was extremely rare, and could not be bought even with soul stones. Putting away the phoenix plume tree, Yi Chen put the dream-eating wolf back into the beast tag, and let it recover slowly. Once it recovered, he would give it the wind fire pellet. Now, I only need the skull flower. Yi Chen let out a long breath. Yeah. Murong Qingqing nodded, her face full of hope. The barbarian race has a strong culture of martial arts. The best weapons for the barbarian warriors are spears and bows. Normally they would put poison on the tips of the spears and arrowheads, which could kill with one attack. Maybe we can find the skull flower in the barbarian mountains. The skeleton flower was different from other herbs. It was a type of extremely poisonous herb. The higher the age, the more poisonous it was. A 10,000-year-old skeleton flower was second only to the world's most poisonous herb. However, a 10,000-year-old skeleton flower was not easy to find. They only needed a 5,000-year-old skeleton flower. Leaving the mountain, the two flew towards the nearest barbarian tribe. This should be the poisonous mountain where this barbarian tribe grows the poisonous plants. On the edge of a mountain with colorful miasma, a man and a woman appeared quietly. They were indeed Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing, who were looking for the skull flower. There were big and small barbarian tribes. The big ones had millions of people, while the small ones only had tens of thousands of people. The tribe that the two had chosen was a tribe with 200,000 people. According to the map, it was called the Iron Flower Tribe. Barbarian warriors liked to coat their weapons with poison, but that didn't mean they weren't afraid of it. Not to mention, it wasn't just a matter of one or two poisonous plants. It required thousands of poisonous plants. Obviously, it was very dangerous to cultivate poisonous plants in the tribe. Therefore, the barbarian tribes would usually choose a mountain nearby and cultivate poisonous plants there. Because of the poisonous plants gathering together, the poisonous gas would fill the air and create an extremely poisonous miasma, which would become a natural barrier. Ordinary demonic beasts wouldn't dare to come close. Of course, there would be a lot of barbarian warriors guarding around the mountain. Even if they were not afraid of the poison, it would not be easy to sneak in. Not far away from the two, there was a group of barbarian warriors patrolling. The highest cultivation is only at the astral reaching realm, and the rest are all clasping Yuan realm warriors. In case of alerting them, we should be careful. Of course they could take it by force, but it would not last long. Plus, the barbarians did not have any conflicts with them, so they did not want to have any conflicts with the Iron Flower Tribe. Let's go. The colorful miasma could not penetrate the protective Zhen Yuan of Sea of Souls realm warriors, so the two sneaked into the miasma and arrived at the poisonous mountain. There was a building on top of the mountain which was covered in a light layer. There were still barbarian warriors patrolling inside. Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing could even sense a couple of Sea of Souls realm Zhen Yuan vibrations on top of a tower in the middle of the building. Not here. Not here either. Let's go check the other side. Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing were very good at hiding, so they were not discovered by the Sea of Souls realm warriors in the building. Occasionally there would be soul power scanning over, but it would be sensed by Yi Chen beforehand. He would then use Murong Qingqing's dark profound to hide from them. After a couple of hours, Yi Chen over here. Murong Qingqing found the skull flowers in the middle of the mountain. It was a huge area, and with a rough look there were at least thousands of them. Black poisonous qi was being emitted from the flowers, which gathered in the air and formed into a huge skull. Yi Chen had also arrived. Let's search and see if there are any 5,000 years old ones. After the time it took to brew a pot of tea, the two were full of disappointment. Among the thousands of skull flowers, there were only 30,000 years old ones. There was not even one 2,000 years old, not to mention 5,000 years old ones. After plucking more than 20 skeleton flowers that were more than 1,000 years old, the two of them left the poison mountain quietly and arrived outside the multicolored miasma. Far away from the Iron Flower Tribe, Yi Chen studied the skull flowers in his hand and said, "The Iron Flower Tribe is a small tribe. Right now we will have to go check out some of the mid-sized tribes." Since there were skull flowers in the Iron Flower Tribe, then the other tribes must have some as well. The only question would be if there were any skull flowers above 5,000 years old. On the third day the two arrived at the Bronze Tiger Tribe. The population of the Bronze Tiger Tribe was 3 times that of the Iron Flower Tribe, which was 700,000 to 800,000 people. The Poison Mountain near the tribe was also bigger than the Iron Flower Tribes. There were thousands of barbarian warriors guarding around the Poison Mountain, each of them holding long spears and carrying huge bows on their backs, looking extremely evil. Inside the Poison Mountain, 2 shadows were moving around sneakily. There are no 5,000 years old skull flowers. The oldest one is only 2,800 years old. Do I really have to go to those big tribes? Yi Chen was very scared of the big tribes. In this true spirit continent, the number of barbarians was way smaller than the human population, which was only 1 out of 10,000 of the human population. In other words, all of the barbarians added together would only be a few 100 million or a billion. However, although there were not many of them, the chance of them having powerful warriors was thousands of times higher than the human population. So, there might be a chance of life and death realm warriors in the big tribes. There are hundreds of big tribes, so it would be impossible for every tribe to have a barbarian king. I heard that there would not be a lot of barbarian kings added together, which would be way less than the human population. The chance of running into a barbarian king should not be that high, maybe 1%. The skull flower was something that they had to get, so Yi Chen would not give up on it. Let's go. Let's go to the big tribes. Yi Chen turned around and said to Murong Qingqing. Chapter 623. The Battle Halberd tribe was one of the big tribes among the barbarian tribes. It had a population of 2,800,000, and its territory was more than 300,000 miles, just like a barbarian country. The Battle Halberd tribe did not have just one gathering place. Just like how human countries were divided into many cities, the Battle Halberd tribe was also divided into more than 10 towns. In the middle of these towns was the main city of the Battle Halberd tribe, called the Battle Halberd City. And the Poison Mountain of the Battle Halberd tribe was right next to the Battle Halberd City. Around the Poison Mountain, there were a shocking number of barbarians patrolling. Every 1,000 meters there was a row of watchtowers, and every 5,000 meters, there was a huge fortress. There were also some flying beasts that the barbarians were raising, flying around in the sky, giving people a feeling that they had nowhere to attack. Not far from them, under the shadow of a rock mountain, 2 black shadows were faintly discernible, combining with the shadow. There are too many barbarian warriors, and there are so many flying beasts in the sky. There are also some hidden defenses that we don't know about. Yi Chen frowned. Facing this kind of situation, he almost had no idea what to do. After all, he could not use his soul power to check around. Even if he did, he might not be able to enter the Poison Mountain within a second without being noticed. Let's go to other places to check, Murong Qingqing suggested. They went to a few places and they were all equally well guarded. Some of them were even several times more tightly guarded. Obviously, they were important places. No rush. Let's talk about it at night. At night, Yi Chen's Shadow Profound could be used to its limit, and so could Murong Qingqing's Dark Profound. With the cover of the night, it should not be a problem for them to enter the Poison Mountain. The night came and a waning moon rose up slowly. From time to time, there were lotus clouds blocking the moonlight, making the whole place pitch black. Let's go. The second the waning moon was covered by the lotus clouds, Yi Chen's body moved like a shadow, flying close to the ground without making any sound. Murong Qingqing spread her wings and flew high up. Under the effect of her Dark Profound, she had merged with the night sky, making no sound at all. Without raising any alarm, the two smoothly passed through the poisonous gas and entered the Poison Mountain. The Poison Mountain was huge and there were many of them. There were some poisonous beasts and beasts in the mountain, but there were not many of them and their ranks were not that high either. Late at night, the two of them finally found the location of the skeleton flower. So many skeleton flowers. In a valley that was neither too big nor too small, skull flowers grew densely. It was impossible to count them all. Above the valley, illusory skulls appeared very strange. 3,800 years. 4,500 years. 4,900 years. 5,500 years. There really is a skeleton flower that is over 5,000 years old. Yi Chen looked around and immediately discovered a relatively large skeleton flower. The black aura that this flower emitted was as dense as water. If it was daytime, it would definitely look like spilled ink. I also have a 6,000-year-old skeleton flower here. Murong Qingqing transmitted her voice over. Yi Chen replied, pick a few more just in case. Pop. The two had only picked a couple of skeleton flowers when a couple of the illusory skulls floating above the valley suddenly disappeared. It turned out that these skulls were formed by the poisonous qi, and the skeleton flowers were the source of the poisonous qi. Now that a couple of the most mature ones had been taken away, it caused a change immediately. Screech. On a tall mountain far away, a beast bird with sharp eyes saw the change in the valley and screeched into the sky. The sound was very penetrating. Not good. Let's go. Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing rushed out of the valley. Their bodies flashed once as they shot out, activating their shadow profound and dark profound respectively to hide their aura. Who is it? There was a building in the Poison Mountain, and a huge group of barbarians flew out of it. The leader was obviously a peak-level Late Sea of Souls realm barbarian, and his Zhenyuan vibration was very powerful. Soon, a huge soul power spread out toward the direction where Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing were flying. Obviously, although Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing had powerful profound, they could not escape from the senses of a peak-level Late Sea of Souls realm barbarian, who was able to detect the two immediately. Some humans have broken in. Seal them up immediately. The Poison Mountain was only 100 miles wide, which was more than enough for growing poisonous plants. But, for Sea of Souls realm warriors, one scan would be able to cover 100 miles. This barbarian spread out his soul power and talked to the nearest Sea of Souls realm barbarian. You are looking for death. Humans dare to break into our Poison Mountain? The Sea of Souls realm barbarians outside were furious. They all rushed toward the designated location, blocking the path that Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing were trying to break through. Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing rushed out of the poisonous miasma, but what greeted them were countless sharp arrows that shone with a cold light or solidified spear lights. Darkness sky. Murong Qingqing put up a black shield, blocking out the sharp arrows and spear lights. Fly into the sky. Yi Qin held Murong Qingqing's hand, flying toward the clouds above the Poison Mountain. They were fast like a rainbow, leaving a light trace under the moonlight. How could the Sea of Souls realm barbarians let them go so easily? They pushed their Zhenyuan and chased after them. Gradually, most of the weaker Sea of Souls realm barbarians had been left behind, so they had to give up. Only one barbarian with the highest cultivation was left, which was indeed horrifying. Although he was only at peak level Late Sea of Souls realm, his Zhenyuan was way more powerful than normal peak level Late Sea of Souls realm warriors. He seemed to be accumulating Zhenyuan to prepare for the life and death realm. Barbarian King Palm Print. The barbarian realized that he couldn't catch up with Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing in a short time. So he pressed his huge fan-like palm in the air, and a thick and hazy illusory palm print emerged, rushing towards the two. All of a sudden the wind blew, the clouds rolled, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. The air rippled like water, pushing the two sides. So powerful. I am afraid he is not that far away from the half-step barbarian king realm. The life and death realm was not that easy to reach, and countless people had been stuck at this bottleneck. But, some of the more determined people could reach the half-step king warrior level after decades or even hundreds of years of training. Although half-step king warriors were not as powerful as life and death realm warriors, they were still way more powerful than master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. For example, Sun Tai, the leader of the southern shallow water ape race, was a half-step beast king, and his power was immeasurable. Right now, Yi Qin could not compete with half-step barbarian king warriors, even if it were the top 5 young warriors. Thunder Devour. Turning around suddenly, Yi Qin crossed his two swords in front of him, and the thunder ball landed on that illusory palm print. Boom. The blast wave swept across the sky, and Yi Qin's whole body was blown away. His speed had increased by more than 2 times, but he reacted extremely fast, grabbing onto Murong Qingqing and bringing her along with him. Using the momentum, they managed to get away from that barbarian who was chasing after them. Cunning human. An angry expression flashed past the barbarian's face. Barbarian King roar. Like a whale sucking in water, the barbarian sucked in the air and clouds within thousands of meters around him. Then, his eyes popped out as he opened his mouth to let out a shocking sound wave. It contained his Zhenyuan that was close to the life and death realm. Once it was let out, the whole sky turned bright white. Boom. The next second, a doomsday-like explosion was heard. The sound wave spread out at hundreds of times faster than the speed of sound, covering Yi Qin and Murong Qingqing immediately. The two puked out a mouthful of blood. The sound wave was like a high-frequency vibration machine, which had shaken their bodies thousands of times within a second. If it were not for Yi Qin's rank 3 spirit body and dragon power, and Murong Qingqing's rank 2 demon body, that roar would have wounded them badly and made them lose their battling power. The high-frequency vibration had also stopped the two's Zhenyuan from operating, and their speed had decreased drastically. It seemed like they were about to be caught up. Dream-eating wolf, come out. Yi Qin was about to summon the dream-eating wolf and have a great battle with the barbarian. As long as the barbarian's willpower had not reached rank 5, the dream-eating wolf might be able to make him enter the dreamland. Therefore it was still uncertain who would have the upper hand. Plus, besides his own power and the dream-eating wolf, he still had another ace up his sleeve. Unless it was a life-and-death situation, he would not use it. Yi Chen, I have a way to escape. Murong Qingqing grabbed Yi Chen's hand, which was about to hit the beast tag. You have a way? Yi Chen looked over. Yeah. Murong Qingqing nodded, then grabbed Yi Chen's hand and held it tightly. Boom. The black bat wings on Murong Qingqing's back started to flap violently. At the same time, a shockingly powerful demon power spread out, blowing away all the air in the sky. This demon power was way beyond the Sea of Souls realm, and seemed to be at the life and death realm. Demon power essence. Yi Chen immediately realized that this demon power vibration belonged to that ancient demon king's demon power essence. It seemed like Murong Qingqing had not refined all of it, only a part of it. But then again it made sense. The demon power essence of the ancient demon king was extremely powerful, and with Murong Qingqing's cultivation she would not be able to refine it all. The barbarian, who was not far away from the two, looked shocked. He could feel that this vibration was a huge threat to him. There must be something strange going on. But it is not enough to scare me. The barbarian reached out his palm and performed his barbarian king palm print again. This time the barbarian king palm print missed its target, because Murong Qingqing and Yi Chen disappeared from where they were standing like shadows. Within a blink of an eye, they were already hundreds of miles away. Then they flashed again, and even his soul power could not sense them anymore. How is this possible? This speed has almost reached the limit of the space. The barbarian's eyes were wide open, his face full of disbelief. The space of this true spirit continent had a limit. Once one's speed reached a certain level, it would not be able to increase anymore. But of course it was not impossible, because once one's speed exceeded the limit of the space, one would be able to escape into the surreal space, where one's speed would not be restricted. It was also why life and death realm warriors would travel in the surreal space, since it was not something they wanted to do.